against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
well and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Do you want a photo? Would you like a photo
can we
first?
do a photo with the family?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Yes. I would now like to call up Mayor Pro Tem Dustin Nigg.
I'm Mayor Pro Tem Dustin Nigg, and this is Auditor Controller Ben Benoit, former mayor and councilmember for the city of Wildomar.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Justin, for inviting me.
I felt it appropriate for him to swear me in. All right.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I.
I,
Your name.
Dustin Nigg,
Very good. That was the first test. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same, that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. All right.
I call the regular meeting of Wildomar City Council and the Cemetery District to order at 6:05 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember DiFilippo.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Morabito.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nigg.
Here.
Mayor Marquez.
Here. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Nigg, will you please lead us in the flag salute?
Left to you, everyone, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Whose kid is that? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
All right. Well, I would just like to start off this meeting with some introductory comments. I'd like to say that I am honored to serve as the mayor of Wildomar for this year, 2026. I'm looking forward to working collaboratively with my peers, with staff, and most importantly with the community to address items that impact our quality of life. With that being said, I'd like to thank everybody that in attendance, both in person and joining us remotely. You know, your engagement really matters. And so I really just want to express my gratitude for caring enough to be an active member of our community. With that being said, let's get this meeting started.
All right.
All right. I think that gets us to presentations. Is that right? I'll make
That's
my way
correct.
down.
All right.
Testing. All right. Bear with me. Let's get the first presentation jitters out of the way. All right. I'm good to go. All right. So for our first presentation, we'd like to recognize and honor our 2025 Mayor, Ashley DiFilippo. Ashley, we've got this amazing plaque that your kids are going to fight over someday. So I'd like to hand that to you.
Thank you.
And, you know, I'd just like to start off by saying that it is both an honor and a privilege to be the one to be able to recognize you for the outstanding work that you've done in 2025. So thank you so much for being here. I want to both give you both figuratively and literally your flowers. I realize you're out of hands, so maybe we'll set it up here. Pro Tem. Thank you, sir. So serving as a mayor, you know, takes a lot of time, a lot of heart, and a lot of commitment. And Ashley, you know, your leadership, the care that you have for this community, and the commitment that you've had for this community since you were appointed, you know, is second to none. We truly appreciate all the work and the effort that you give, the time that you donate to us to help us become a better city. You know, I'm so eager to see you advocate for us and represent us on a regional level. Looking forward to that and all the great work that you're going to do there. So please accept this token of gratitude. We've got some more flowers. Please accept our gratitude on behalf of the council, on behalf of our community. If you can all just please stand and join me in a huge round of applause for our 2025 Madam Mayor, Ashley DiFilippo.
Thank you so much, Carlos. The flowers are beautiful, and the figurative flowers as well. Appreciate all of it. It was the honor of my lifetime to serve as your mayor, and especially among my esteemed colleagues, and to serve alongside Mayor Pro Tem, now Mayor Carlos Marquez, was truly a privilege. We're so lucky. I don't want to see the word honored again because I just said it. We're so fortunate to have Mayor Marquez this year. He's going to be an outstanding, thoughtful, dedicated leader of us as a council and as a city. And I'm excited to see everything that you do. And we're gonna have a great year. Wildomar, I love this city. I'm grateful to be here and look forward to continuing to serve throughout this year as council member. And so thank you, everybody. Thank you. Sorry, I shouldn't turn my back. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the flowers and the thoughtful comments. And I really appreciate you.
Well, more importantly, the heirloom that you have right here for
And the heirloom,
kids to
yes.
fight
My
over.
kids will definitely fight over this, for sure. Yes, thank you. My 15-year-old might want it in his room right now. I might have to watch that. Right, thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause. There we go. Let's see here. All right. One more. 1, 2.
All right, and for our next presentation, if I can have Mayor Pro Tem Dustin Nig come on up.
So I did the judging for the lights. So, we're gonna 6. What we got here? All right. Is Alicia here? Okay, Alicia got the Griswold. You should see her house. See the snow machine. It was amazing. Do we have pictures?
Yeah, so we started, Mr. Betancourt was planning on attending.
Okay, yeah,
yes.
he's here. Okay. So, Richard Betancourt, come on up, man. Let's see. You are the one with the big property that's really wide, right? Off what road? What is it? Yeah. Oh my goodness sakes! This guy's house was amazing. My pictures don't even do it justice. Do we have one more to get the other side or no?
No, this
Okay.
is the only one I was given.
This picture doesn't do it justice. This guy's. I mean, it was great job. Thank you. So, a couple questions. How long did it take you to set everything up?
It takes me about three and a half days.
No kidding. When do you start?
Usually early November.
Is it by yourself or do you have your kids help you?
Myself, the big air balloon, the snowman,
You had to blow it up?
the
But
wife, and my daughter.
congratulations. So we typically give you this. I mean, you got the sign, but typically we want to recognize you. In December before Christmas, we had the meeting didn't work out that way, but we felt it appropriate to totally recognize you because this was a job well done. Any words you want to say?
I'm not.
I thank God, my family.
My wife's at the academy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, no, it's an honor, and I hope to see you again next year. In fact, you've done it a couple of years in a row, haven't you?
We started it, me and my neighbor, a few years ago, and now we really can't stop because people expect it.
Well, the guy across the street from you had a pretty good house too.
Yeah, there's
And I
next to me and across.
when I drove up, I saw the guy on the left coming west, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a nice house. Then I looked to the right, and I'm like, oh, this is the guy that submitted. Jeez. So great job.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, and here's
Thank you.
certificate for you. Also, your kids will fight over this.
Yeah.
Winner of the 2025 Holiday Lights Contest. And we can take a picture, too, if you don't mind. Come on in. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Got it. Hey, again, congratulations. That was amazing. The house really was something to look at. Do we have other pictures or no? Okay, we can go down the line real quick. The next was the Griswold. Yes. Look at this. I mean, goodness sakes. She had raised money to buy a snow machine because I guess hers broke. And there's actually more to the left of the picture. I mean, the house was phenomenal. Definitely Griswold. The next we have, that was Alicia Magdariaga. And then next we have Derek and Stacy Van Winkle. And this is for the best inflatable display. Hands down. I mean, look at it. It just, man. I wish they were here. I'd like to know how they keep them inflated. If they blow them up and keep them, Anyway, they did a great job. Or they have the motors running the whole time, And then last but not least, we have Lisa Gines. This is the judge's choice. Another hard one. Great house. Definitely in the Griswold type category, but couldn't top Alicia's. But obviously, it's did great enough to want to recognize. So congratulations to all the winners, and I look forward to doing the competition again next year.
Yeah, and if I can just add, it's really great to see participation like this. This is what gives us our hometown feel. So thank you so much for sharing, your love for the holidays with us. We truly appreciate it. I'm going to start the competition now with my colleagues. So we saw these results. I want some district submittals come December.
Oh, man, I only have I have the C9 lights, the glass ones. I like them. They look very traditional, but nothing like this.
I will also say, I didn't say it had to be our homes. I'm saying in our districts. Let me clarify. I don't have room to put that amount of stuff. But what I would like to pose this challenge to my colleagues, there's a lot of folks that decorate their homes, share their Christmas spirit or holiday spirit, that do not register to participate. I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to engage with our community and have them participate. just so that we can post that map all over the city, spread the holiday cheer around. All right. I think that's it for presentations, right?
And Mr. Mayor, let me let you know that Windsong is up for the challenge.
Well, the farm will win, so.
All right. With that, we move on to department reports, but there are no department reports scheduled. So we will move on to public comments. This is the time when the City Council receives general public comment regarding any items or matters within the jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda. Per the Brown Act, the City Council members are not allowed to respond to public comments not on the agenda. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, first speaker is Julie Paul.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Julie Polly, and I'm the new Government Affairs Director at the Southwest Riverside County Association of Realtors, your local realtor association. And I missed you in December, but I'm doing the rounds to all of our city councils to come and introduce myself and to share that it really is my mission that we're seen as a trusted stakeholder as you all do your work of public policy determining what's best for Wildomar. We really want to be at that table to talk to you about property owners and our concerns and such, and just have a really good dialogue with you all. But I also want to congratulate you all on having the discernment and wisdom to install Chris Mann as your permanent city manager, because I have worked with Chris in a very contentious area in our other lives in another jurisdiction, and he's probably one of the most talented, problem-solving city staff that I've ever come across, and I'm so glad that he's here in our region. So Chris, if you need a realtor, I know 4,000 of them. I'd be more than happy to get you close. So anyhow, thank you very much.
And Chris, make sure she gets paid, okay? Comments.
Next speaker, Andy Morris.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, congratulations, Carlos. I look forward to working with you as the President of the Board for Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District. I wasn't expecting to be president this year, but when I knew you were going to be mayor, I said, yeah, I'll step up and do it so we can do it together. So I look forward to the year. If you ever need anything, I'd be there for you. Just wanted to give a really quick update. Today we received our bids for the septic to sewer conversion project. As you know, the district was awarded about $54 million of grant money, which means that we're able to help the homeowners there convert from septic system into our sewer system without any cost to them, which is a really, really big deal. And the bids actually came in a little bit less than we expected, which was great. And what that means is the people that maybe haven't put in that they would like it done, maybe we can get them on there. So the word should get out there that if they hadn't already opted in to the program, anytime between now and the time we go to construction, which hopefully will be around the summertime, late summer, they can still opt in to do this. So if anybody's out there and they were on the fence, or maybe they just recently purchased a house in the Sedco area, haven't even heard about it, they can still get in there and they can just contact the water district and we'll be happy to look at that for them. So, and on just a side note, I did do my house as best I could, and it was really beautiful to have my neighbors come up and thank me for doing it. I mean, that was what it was all about. So next year, you're in my district, so I'll be happy to apply next year. All right? Thank you.
Last speaker is Patrick Ellis.
Good evening, Mayor Marquez, Pro Tem Mayor Nigg, and council members. Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Myriad Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. First off, congratulations, Carlos and Dustin, on your roles as Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem for this year. We're here to support you and help you any way we can from the chamber and the business side. I'm glad I'm here on the same night as Julie is, because with kind of in the same vein, I wanted to let you know that we produced this year our brand new 2026 public policy guidelines for the chamber. This is our platform as to what we stand for and what we will be unwaveringly advocating for businesses in Southwest Riverside County. So I wanted to leave you copies so that you all had it. Also to let you know too, as you all fight for what you need and what Wildomar needs on an everyday basis. One of our main platforms within this is local control. It's one of those things that we think is unbelievably important for cities in today's day and age in our state. And so I'll leave these with you, and if there's any time that we can partner or ally and advocate together for more local control, for funds, whatever that might be, please make sure that you know you have a partner in the business community in the Merritt-Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
We have no other speakers.
All right. With that, we move on to approval of the agenda as presented. City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. One change, maybe two actually. Item 3.2 on the agenda, we're going to ask to pull. We're going to take a look at this from a financial perspective and probably incorporate this into a future budget adjustment request. So we don't need council action on that item at this time. And I believe Councilmember DiFilippo had a request to move an item up on the agenda as well.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move item 3.6 in between item 3.3 and 3.4. So we'd go 3.3, then 3.6, and then back to the regular scheduled agenda.
Or we can do right after 3.1.
Either one.
Okay, let's just do that.
All right, yeah, let's just do it right after 3.1.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with those changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, so now we are at the consent calendar. City Clerk, are there any public comments on the consent calendar items?
No public comments.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
You have a motion from your Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
Before we move on to general business, through the action of approving the consent calendar, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize our newest planning commissioner, Mr. John Hume, who is in the audience. Thank you for joining us today, and congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah.
All right, that brings us over to general business. Item 3.1, discussion and adoption of the 2026 City Council goals presented by our City Manager, Chris Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So every January, I like to bring this item to the City Council to adopt goals for the year. The purpose of the City Council annual goal setting is to clearly identify and adopt a list of agreed upon priorities for the year. Once established, these goals will guide staff and the council, ensuring that time and resources are allocated in a manner consistent with the council's shared objectives for the city. Tonight's presentation is intended to do three things. First, to remind us of the priorities this council collectively established in February of last year. Second, to reflect on how the organization performed against those priorities. And finally, to discuss and adopt agreed upon priorities for 2026. It's important to highlight a change in approach for this year from what the city has done in the past. This process is not intended to result in a comprehensive list of projects and objectives. Rather, it's intended to establish broad goals. So setting goals is a responsibility of the City Council, while achieving those goals through the execution of specific and measurable objectives is more appropriately the role of the City Manager and staff. Based on input from council members and staff, this presentation will identify a handful of proposed goals for consideration. Staff recommends that the City Council discuss these proposed goals along with any others and adopt a list of goals for this calendar year. We're going to jump in by looking at, starting to look at the goals and objectives that were established for this year. I will warn you ahead of time that this presentation is a little lengthy. One of actually setting the goals for this upcoming year is the shortest part of this item. The bulk of the item is reflecting on the goals that were set and what progress the city has made towards achieving those goals. I think it's very important that we take some time and pause each year to hold ourselves accountable, right? It's nice to set goals, But if you don't actively work towards achieving those goals, there's not much point, really. So I also find that, we're so busy. We're in our day-to-day and moving from one issue to another, and city government, the issues are so broad, right? And we kind of lose track of all the work that's been done. So when we force ourselves to stop and kind of itemize the major things that we've done, it's really kind of eye-opening sometimes. Oh my gosh, we really have been busy and accomplishing a lot for the community. So I think this presentation I think we'll be done with this item in about a half an hour, but I'll do my best to move through it. And there is a slide presentation to go along with it. So we're going to start with the priorities that were sent in February. While the individual action items were detailed and very wide-ranging, the overarching themes were very clear, and we broke them down into 7 categories here. And the 7 categories are on the screen there. So I'll go through them one by one. The first was protect life, property, and community resilience. This is a focus on public safety, code enforcement, and emergency preparedness. So the first there, let's talk about some of the public safety accomplishments. Public safety is local government's #1 priority, and the city has certainly placed an emphasis there. On the law enforcement side, we continue to strengthen our partnership with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. This year, Wildomar received new leadership assignments with a new captain, Mark Boyd, and a new lieutenant, Jeff Reese. Those leadership transitions matter because they set the tone for operational focus, responsiveness, and coordination with city staff. I will tell you, we are incredibly pleased with the leadership at the sheriff's station. Our captain and lieutenant are phenomenal partners, incredibly responsive to every need that comes up, and we really appreciate their leadership there. To strengthen our traffic safety and enforcement capacity, the city amended its contract with RSO to add an additional motorcycle deputy for traffic enforcement. Since this addition in July, RSO reports a 20% increase in citations issued for moving violations and 5% increases in both parking violations issued and vehicles towed. On the fire department side, as you know, we contract through Riverside County CAL FIRE for our fire services. We've maintained fire response times under the 5-minute benchmark. Our average is 4.9 minutes. We've achieved Emergency Command Center, or ECC, accreditation, placing Wildomar among the first agencies in California to do so. We've conducted community fire safety outreach programs throughout the year, supported regional emergency response during the airport fire, completed work on the Lake Elsinore-Wildomar Front County fuel break, launched the nurse navigation program countywide to reduce non-emergency agency transports. I'd also like to say that Chief Reed has been phenomenal to work with as well. Just really forward-thinking, outside of the box, taking initiative. We had the one thing that stood out right out the gate when I started. He took the initiative to put together the community benefit agreement with the Chiquito Battery Storage Project during a time of transition in leadership in the city. He saw a need there and he jumped in, and that resulted in almost $800,000 of revenue that we applied for community benefit in the city. So really appreciate his leadership. City's code enforcement team has had a very busy year. Noteworthy accomplishments include leading enforcement and abatement actions on major nuisance sites. One notable example was the Black Series trailer case on Palomar Street. I don't think I need to go into the details of that case. Really phenomenally executed all around. Additionally, code enforcement expanded enforcement capacity through schedule changes and adding weekend coverage, conducted weekend vendor enforcement operations, and completed large-scale signage sweeps to remove unpermitted signs from gateways, right-of-way, and public facilities. Code enforcement maintained an emphasis on partnership and community presence. Staff coordinated cleanups and graffiti removal with Wildomar beautification volunteers, attended regional preparedness events, and received positive resident commendations of professionalism and responsiveness. Some additional accomplishments. The council took action to improve regulatory compliance and ensure long-term cost recovery for fire prevention and mitigation activities by approving the following actions. Approve the addition of a fire safety specialist position to assist with implementing the weed abatement program, annual state-mandated fire inspections, and annual business inspections for the city. Adopted the local hazard mitigation plan into the general plan safety element, increasing the opportunity for financial assistance under the California Disaster Assistance Act. Adopted Ordinance 251, designating fire hazard severity zones within the city in compliance with AB 211 and GC 51779. Implemented an updated fire safety and prevention fee schedule to ensure cost recovery. And adopted Ordinance 254, which updates the municipal code to prohibit overnight parking in city parks and to allow for administrative approval for commercial solicitation requests at city park facilities. To reduce wildfire risk, protect neighborhoods, and strengthen the city's overall emergency preparedness, staff conducted over 1,700 weed abatement inspections and completed forest abatements with approximately 95% completion. Submitted a grant application for $120,000 to update the local hazard mitigation plan, and received AB 2140 compliance confirmation from Cal OES, opening the door to enhanced disaster grant and emergency funding. So a lot on the public safety side. Goal number 2, maintain and invest in core physical assets. So when we talk about infrastructure accomplishments, this list is way too extensive to go through in this meeting. Jason and his team have been incredibly busy, and that's an understatement. But some of the key accomplishments: we completed installation of the city welcome signs, began in-house hot asphalt patching, paving repairs, sidewalk panel replacements, striping of road legends, and storm drain cleanouts. Installed reflective signal enhancements for nighttime and power outage safety. Completed the installation of a rubberized playground surface at Marno O'Brien Park. Started construction on Palomar Widening and Cemetery Improvement Project. Advertised design RFPs for Bundy Canyon Road West widening and Sedco Boulevard roadway improvements and Line C storm drains. Continued coordination with Caltrans on Wildomar Trail to conduct on-ramp traffic flow improvements. And successfully secured over $2.5 million in transportation and pavement grant funding. Again, that is a fraction of the public improvements that were accomplished this year. Goal 3, strengthen systems, workforce, and internal capacity. Organizational accomplishments. Equally important were goals related to organizational health and operations. These focused on onboarding new staff, improving recruitment and retention, expanding employee training, and formalizing and improving internal processes and procedures. Accomplishments include onboarding a total of 11 new hires, including a new city manager, community development director, principal engineer, members of the new public works, maintenance and landscape maintenance crews, and others. In November, we began a significant staff reorganization, which resulted in the elimination of 3 director-level positions and 2 leader-level positions and the combining of 2 departments. This reorganization enables the city to fill much-needed roles in varying departments and has resulted in an approximate savings of $56,000. We've expanded City Hall hours from Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, to Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We've relocated Community Services Department staff from the cemetery to here at City Hall. We've implemented a new human resources information systems through NeoGov, which integrated personnel retention processes, introduced employee self-service tools, and improved performance management processes. Established an internal safety committee and held the first meeting. We commissioned and received a new graffiti trailer with a pressure washer to support graffiti abatement. Completed the digitization of over 600,000 records citywide. Consolidated and digitized all agreements citywide, and also implemented an agreement processing and tracking system. Goal 4 was to guide growth consistent with community values. This is a focus on land use planning and community development. So on the community development side, general plan implementation and development readiness was a priority. This included advancing major development projects, conducting planning commission training, and ensuring the city's regulatory framework remained current and responsive. Notable accomplishments include advanced major commercial development projects, including Wildomar Crossroads, Stable Lanes Retail Center, Cat Crossings Retail Center, and the Wildomar Commerce Center. Advanced major residential projects through the permitting process, including Bell Ranch, also referred to as Wildomar Cottages, Tres Lagos, Camellia Townhomes, Oak Springs Ranch 2. We initiated the process to update the cemetery master plan, which will focus on assessing future needs, renovating the maintenance garage, and incorporating a veterans memorial, and evaluating existing fees. Conducted brownout training with the Planning Commission, amended Development Code Ordinance 253 to disallow new car washes and service stations in commercial, mixed-use zones, major commercial corridors, and near freeway off-ramps, allow for storage facilities in industrial zones only, and to create and extend these amenities to the new historic and downtown district overlay zone. Adopted ordinance 256, reducing rear and side yard minimum setback requirements for sheds under 120 square feet, and amend ADU architectural design standards to ensure they meet objective design standards as well as the design of the primary dwelling. We updated our landscape design standards and guidelines, advanced pre-approved ADU architecture plans and an ADU guidebook, and we've been reviewing the Bluffs specific plan draft, which will be a key project for the city moving forward. Goal 5 was to protect fiscal health and fund services responsibly. This is about financial sustainability and a revenue strategy. From a financial standpoint, the council emphasized fiscal sustainability. This included optimizing existing revenue streams, maintaining reserves, and ensuring long-term budget stability. Accomplishments include we implemented community facilities districts to ensure the cost of public services and infrastructure associated with new development is funded by the properties that benefit from those services. Updated the fire safety and prevention fee schedule to separate plan check and inspection fees, create a progressive schedule based on structure size, and update fees to ensure full cost recovery. We executed a community development agreement with Chiquito Battery Energy Storage Facility to obtain $769,000 in funds, which are being used for the purchase of property for future fire department station, our second station in the city. We adopted a 2-year budget, which is balanced and includes committed reserves over the next 5 years. Completed an interim audit and continue to work with the auditor to finish the final audit. Recognized an increase in general fund revenues by 8.17% over the prior fiscal year. Reported a $40,000 surplus in Measure Z driven by in-house operational savings. And received GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Goal 6, build trust, transparency, and community connection. This is about community engagement and partnership. Building trust, transparency, and strong community connection was a goal established by the council. Last year, the city focused on expanding access to information, increasing meaningful engagement opportunities, and improving how residents and businesses interact with City Hall. Accomplishments include expanded hours at City Hall, amending the agreement with Civic Plus for the purchase of additional software, including C-Click Fix and Civic Rec, and a mobile app. This additional software will enable residents to submit requests for service, report code enforcement concerns, and submit and pay for park reservations through their phone. We began streaming City Council meetings live on YouTube. We conducted citywide social media and communication skills training with CiviSocial, which focused on understanding our audience and creating engaging video-based content. We expanded the city's communications and social media presence across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We achieved 1.5 million Facebook views and increased follower count by 1,500 for a total of 7,000 followers. Re-engaged the city's Instagram account and grew our base to over 1,100 followers. We delivered major community events, including the City Birthday, National Night Out, Fall Family Fun Fair, Mariachi Night, Breakfast with Santa, and others. We delivered 2 pop-up events at the Farm and Briarwood communities to better engage local residents. And Goal 7, address homelessness with coordination and care. Addressing homelessness requires a coordinated approach that balances compassion, public safety, and quality of life considerations. In 2025, the city focused on strengthening partnerships, improving outreach efforts, and coordinating services and enforcement to better support individuals experiencing homelessness while addressing community impacts. Accomplishments included conducting regular joint operations with RSO Special Enforcement Team, CityNet, Probation, Mobile Home Services, and Southwest Riverside County Regional Homeless Alliance, focusing on areas that include Tres Lagos, Hidden Springs, Bundy Canyon, and other hotspots. In 2025, a total of 136 individuals were contacted. Within that total, 12 arrests were made, and 52 were placed in shelters. A total of 45 of those individuals ended up relocating or seeking higher care. Code enforcement has also documented successful encampment cleanups. For example, vacant land east of Palomar, Hidden Springs utility box area. So that is a very high-level, believe it or not, brief summary of some of the major accomplishments in 2025 towards achieving the goals that the council set back in February. While it's certainly not an exhaustive list of everything the city's accomplished, taken together, they reflect meaningful progress toward the priorities the city council established last year. As we look ahead, The next step is to build on this foundation by discussing the proposed goals for this year and identifying the focus areas that will guide the city's efforts in the coming year. So based on discussions I've had with members of the council and with staff, these are the goals that I'm presenting for consideration for the council for this year. Number one, we've talked about embarking on a strategic planning process. I believe this is a critical next step for the city. I think, in the city's earlier years, it was all about survival as a city. Right out the gate, this city had the financial rug pulled out from under it from the governor with the removal of the VLF revenue. And the city quickly found itself in a position of having to scramble just to stay afloat. So city staff remained lean, very lean. It still is lean, but most of the city was actually run through consulting agreements as opposed to in-house staff, and that has been changing in recent years, where we've been able to bring a lot of that in-house. This community has rallied and passed Measure Z for the funding of parks, passed Measure AA, the sales tax measure. The state did finally backfill that VLF funding through a portion of property tax. And so the city's in a much healthier place today than at any time in its history. Still, we have to be cautious, and we have to set priorities. And I believe we're at a point now, and as the city is quickly approaching its 18th year as a city, coming into adulthood as a city, that we need to do adult things like look to the future and decide what is it we want to be when we fully grow up, right? What do we want service levels to look like? Now, the city in December updated its general plan, and that's one important component. But what the general plan doesn't factor in is service levels, right? What do we want our service levels to look like across the board, whether it's public safety, community services, right? When we reach build out, how many deputies do we want on the street? How many fire stations do we want? What do we want our response times to look like? There's a lot we could do on the community services side eventually. Do we want to be providing a wide array of community services, or do we want to keep it smaller, right? We could have a community center. We could have a senior center. We could have an equestrian facility. We could have aquatics facilities. We could have pickleball courts and more fields for soccer and baseball. But we can't do it all. We can't do it all at once. It's important to define what it is we want to be eventually, and then figure out how to get from where we are today to where it is we want to go eventually, and then where does the revenue come to provide those services. We need a roadmap, which is what we're missing right now. It's kind of a ship without a rudder, and we don't want to be in a position where we just kind of chase each new idea that pops up in the moment, and then find ourselves in a position where we can't afford what we've done, or we realize, wait a minute, now we really need to do this other thing, but we've already done these things, so now we can't afford to do the thing that's really critical, right? So I think it's time that we really pause and take a few months to have a community-wide effort to envision what this city will be ultimately, and then put that roadmap together. So that's what I'm suggesting. And by the way, these proposed goals are in no particular order. This is not a list of priorities. I pride myself in accomplishing every goal a council sets. So
say the last part again.
I pride myself.
No.
You're going to hold me to this, aren't you? Is that what this is about?
No. Did you say that there's no priority to these?
Correct.
That was my question. So.
Oh, very good.
I feel good.
Yeah, good.
And the second part too.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Secondly, I've heard, staff, we've heard an awful lot of discussion in the community amongst the council about a desire to establish a historic old town, along Palomar. If that is something that the council and the community wishes to pursue, there are steps that we need to take, and we need to take them sooner rather than later, because as this wave of growth and development comes to Wildomar, there's increasing pressure, and as projects come, there could be projects that today fit the zoning in that area, but would not be consistent with a historic look and feel of a historic old town. So, if we want to protect those properties and protect a vision of pursuing a historic old town at some point, we need to begin work on a specific plan to define that, and then put that, it's like almost like an overlay that goes over the zoning and defines what types of uses can go in that area. And that's a heavy lift. You know, it's there are costs associated with that. It's a many-month process. But the sooner we begin, then the sooner we'll have that in place, and the sooner we'll be protected. That vision could be more likely to happen eventually. So number 3, streamline procedures, enhance resident and business friendly approach. This is something I've heard a lot since I've been here, and there's a lot already underway, but I think this should be a major focus in 2026. We've talked about, we're working on the implementation of certain software like SeeClickFix, and in the city's app, which will make the processes much more accessible for residents and applicants. One of the things we are sorely lacking here is a permitting software. That is going to be really important, just not just for convenience for applicants, but also for managing workload internally. Our engineering department, our community services and planning departments, really overworked. There's just there are not enough hours in the day to manage the workload. If we can streamline processes and implement software that can help with that, it would really be a help for us to be able to process things in an efficient manner. So AI is another area we'd like to really focus in on. Anymore, it seems like almost every week I get an email from a company offering some AI service for local government. So I'd like to embark upon a process to really delve in and research what AI products would make sense here, and then decide on a strategy there. 4, prioritize and execute key CIP projects. Later in the agenda tonight, Jason will present a priority issue, an issue of prioritization on a couple of CIP projects. But one of the things that I've noticed is that this city has been very aggressive at identifying CIP projects, and I feel that we're a little overextended at the moment, both financially and in terms of staff workload. And as a result, we're pursuing a lot of projects at once. I'd like us to focus in a little bit more on identifying which are the priority projects, and then getting those projects done in an efficient manner, right? And then we move on to the next project. So I'd like to spend some time, really looking at, prioritizing, and then focusing on how do we execute in a more efficient manner on those projects that are a priority. And some of the things that fall under that bucket, Bundy Canyon, right? 20-acre park, right? Park projects. And so I think we have an opportunity to seek and probably receive significant federal funding this year. And so we need to take funding sources into account with that prioritization as well. Item 5, enhance community engagement. We're going to be bringing on a couple of new positions here that have been advertised recently. We have interviews coming up. We have a community engagement coordinator position and a community engagement specialist position. I think it's going to be important that we continue to increase the quantity, quality, and variety of the communications coming from City Hall. We know that people receive and digest information differently today than they once did. We need to continue to get better at reaching people where they are, which means different platforms. It means video instead of press releases, right? We have to get more creative, and I think that's not just a fun thing for cities to do. I think it's our responsibility. It's part of being transparent, right, is communicating in the way that people receive information today. Events, I would like to increase, not necessarily the number of events, but I'd like to really focus in on doing a better job at our core events that we're already doing this year. I think eventually we can look at expanding, but right now I'd like to really focus in on increasing the number and variety of vendors, better distinguish events from one another, so that the events are a little bit more unique from one to the next, and increase turnout in our events. Number 6, enhance emergency preparedness. We are creating a public safety manager position. We need to focus a little bit more on emergency management training. Emergency preparedness is one area that I think we really need to step it up a little bit. That's not a knock on the work that our staff have been doing, which has been great work, but Again, we're a lean operation, and most of our staff wear multiple hats, and there's only so many hours in a day, right? And so we have tasked our code enforcement division to also do emergency preparedness, and they do a great job. But again, only so many hours in the day, and we're asking much more of them on the code enforcement side as well. And so, our new emergency manager will focus on emergency preparedness and trainings. When there is an emergency, a disaster here in Wildomar, and we have to expend significant funds, in order to get reimbursed from FEMA or Cal OES, there are certain trainings that our staff are required to have. And if we don't have those trainings, they'll say, "Yeah, sorry, you don't qualify." We don't have those trainings, right? We need to get staff trained. Right? We need to, there are certain forms and documents you have to file within certain timeframes. We need to be up to speed on all that. So focusing on emergency preparedness. And at one time, the city had a CERT program. We don't really run that currently. We've shifted to a program called Listos. So really evaluating whether Listos is the long-term solution or putting a new CERT program back together. But really just taking a look at emergency preparedness and making that a focus this year. And then the seventh and last main goal I've identified here is facilitate responsible economic development. So we all know that everything's getting more expensive. That's everywhere. And it's certainly true with local government, and public safety has really, those costs have grown exponentially and don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So for cities to remain economically viable and able to produce a wide array of services for the community, we have to grow economically as well. And we can do that by raising taxes. We can also do that by bringing in responsible business growth, right? Expanding our sales tax base, bringing in hotels, bringing in the right types of businesses that will produce revenue that we can then use to provide services for our residents. We have key projects this year that we really need to focus in on. We have the Walmart project that looks like it's moving forward. We're not ready to announce that it's going forward yet because until dirt's moving, you never know, right? But all indications are positive there. We need to make sure we do everything to encourage that to move forward. We have the Bluffs project, which is going to be a big lift. It's almost 170 acres. It could be tremendous for the community moving forward. We have to really focus, in my mind, on finding ways to protect our commercial corridors. This is important. It's one of the reasons why this council earlier in the year adopted, changes to the code to prevent car washes, gas stations, self-storage on our major commercial corridors. Because once those properties are taken up, they're gone forever, and that's what long-term we'll have to rely on to provide sales tax revenue to support providing services for the community. Right? Some of the state laws coming down now make it harder for cities to do that. It's easier and easier for developers to come in and put residential developments on properties that might even be zoned for commercial, right? And so I think we need to get serious about economic development from that standpoint and find ways to bring in the right types of development, not just development for the sake of development, but the right types of businesses in the areas that have already been designated in our general plan for that type of development, and protect those commercial corridors. So with that, and again, as a reminder, this is not anywhere close to a comprehensive list of everything we're going to be focused on. There's a lot that we're going to do, but I'd like to really nail down. These are the 7 big goals that we have for the year that we must accomplish. And of course, this is all open for discussion. It's just staff recommendations. So if council has things that you'd like reworded or changed, or things that are not on here that you'd like to see on here, or things that you think we should take off, that's absolutely your prerogative, and love to hear your feedback.
Thank you for that presentation. I think you kept it just under the 30 minutes that you promised. So with that, let's open this up. Actually, do we have any clarifying comments before we go to public comment on this item from the council? Any questions? No questions? City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
All right. Well, then let's see if we have any discussion up here on the dais. Councilmember Moore?
I like all these goals. I don't think we should change any of them or add it. I don't have anything to add. I guess I just want to make sure. So what I wrote down was parks and roads. We need to get our 20-acre park open. We need to get the 27-acre park open. That 27-acre park was a parting gift from Supervisor Buster back then in 2008. And so 17 years later, we still don't have it open. So I want to see, because in here we talked about community engagement. We need those parks open so we can get community engagement. And then our roads. That's also the main complaint we receive, and just us driving around too. And I know we have the Bundy Canyon. I know everything's coming, but those are the two things that I wrote down. One idea, just an idea, not another goal. I mentioned it before, but it was a couple months ago. Now we renamed 7 streets into Wildomar Trail. So I would love to actually see a Wildomar Trail on Wildomar Trail. Like, continue on with our fencing and a DG path along the way. I know it'll come probably with the project by you, development there too. But with Kaiser now already doing the sidewalk to Margaret, and then it doesn't, I know everything costs money, but it's too much more to just continue on down to Palomar. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Councilmember Morabito?
Sure. Just a couple things. First, I appreciate the list. Like, as you said, it's very comprehensive. We could have a little seminar on the whole thing for sure. One, maybe when you were saying clarify terminology or whatever the first time, maybe that's what this goes on. I would just say that I know why we would say historic Old Town, but I know that many of the residents, we like the idea of what would be built there, but calling it's hard to create something that's historic. So I don't know if we can work on better terminology for that. So it would be my suggestion. You mentioned permitting software, which sounds like a great, anything to help the streamlining the process. But do you have an idea of what the cost, whether it's a one-time, it's a yearly subscription?
The cost would be significant for initial implementation. In training, it's usually quite a heavy lift to initially implement. Now, we're not talking about citywide implementation of a software package. I mean, this would be simply for permitting, which does simplify the process. And actually, I'd like to defer to our Community Development Director, Robert Flores, to address that in a little bit more detail in terms of what we could expect.
Sorry about that. Yes, so what we're looking at is currently we have our staff, our teams, our different divisions and departments are working on off of different software or different options to track projects and process projects. Where you have building and safety working on one software, we have our engineering division working on another, and then planning is working off the old school way of doing things, which is tracking things on spreadsheets. Makes it difficult for collaboration and really creating that efficiency that Chris mentioned. So we're looking for a software that can allow us to include all processes that include permits, entitlements, and licensing, and also code enforcement tracking. That way, whenever our code enforcement officers working on a case, they know what entitlements, what permits are being used, are being processed at the time as well. Just enhancing collaboration, creating efficiency, like Chris said, bringing in some type of AI format. We were just in a demo recently that incorporated an AI feature that once an application is submitted, it automatically identifies the deficiencies in the application, which then saves time for our staff to have to do that initial work. So all in all, we're looking for something that we could have one software that will allow us to do all the things that our different divisions are doing.
Robert, could you maybe address the cost aspect of the question?
Oh, sure. We don't have an actual estimate of the cost, but from my experience in the past working with other agencies, this can range from anywhere between $200,000 to $300,000 just to implement. That's initial cost. So.
I assume what comes with that is people that come here and they kind of code the software to be tailored to Wildomar specific type things, right?
That is
on top of
correct.
Training, on top of the software, on top of migration.
That cost would include licensing to use the software, to customize the software because it comes out of the box. If there's some unique features that we need, they would implement that. Training, and also just making sure that when we launch it, it launches without any issues.
So then that's the upfront cost. We know things costs money, so, but I mean, so is there a yearly maintenance fee or subscription fee that we would anticipate on that?
Yes, there's also a yearly licensing fee that comes along with, technical assistance and further training. That is going to be an ongoing cost that we can expect as well.
So then, I'm just curious about how many. Now, if we were LA, I wouldn't expect to get this. It's too big of a city, but we're a smaller city. About how many permits do we issue per year? I mean, 1,000? 5,000?
We're not in the 1,000 range. We're just under 1,000. I think I've seen a recent figure from last year was somewhere between 800 and 900 permits. And that's just building permits, but then we also have entitlements where we're looking at close to, a couple of hundred entitlements that come in, whether small or larger. And then we're not even counting our engineering permits, which include grading and street improvement plans and things of that nature.
Sure. And are those ones that would be covered by this software?
All those will be covered by the software, including our code cases, which we have hundreds of code cases that are open as well.
Right. I mean, you can probably see where I'm going, because if it's $200,000 and there's 1,000, then that's, hopefully my math is good, that sounds like $2,000 per permit to do. So where do we, how do we spread the load of this new cost? I'm assuming it's going to make the cost of a permit in Wildomar go up.
Well, one thing to consider is that with the efficiencies that are gained using this new permitting system, if we obtain one, it'll also be cost savings on the staff side to do things, and we're able to be more efficient and also able to take on more tasks which fall under these goals that we're talking about. So,
okay. So then, anytime there's going to be a raise of fees anyway, it would come back up here.
Correct.
Yes. These are just goals, right? So I mean, you guys haven't done any homework to see what it costs. I mean, it could be less than 200,000. I mean,
sure,
we're not going to approve anything if it's crazy hill.
We want to modernize, but if modernization costs the each permit guy an extra $500 or 1,000, or I'd be less interested in that. So that's why I'm just trying to figure that out. But obviously, before there would be any rate hikes, it would come up here. So. I did have a goal that I would like to add. It might be a softer goal, but we already have a park on McVicker that I'm not going to call Boulder Creek. So between that park and the new park, I'd really love to add on there naming 2 parks this year, especially the ones that are going to be open. And then the final comment I had was, I know you were just mentioning it as ways that cities can get revenue, but my little spidey senses went up just even at the suggestion, or even at the column of raising taxes. So it's always good to bring in additional revenue by having additional businesses and whatnot, but changing the rate to bring in additional taxes, that'll probably be a hard sell for me, much less the residents. So even though that wasn't what you were specifically suggesting, I would just let you know where I'm at since I heard it.
Councilmember DiFilippo.
Thank you, Mayor Marquez. So first of all, that was a great list of accomplishments. Really, really busy. I just want to thank staff. That's just incredible work, and I can't even imagine the hours. I mean, you would probably be able to tell me with a lot of time calculated, but I mean, just amazing work. Very impressed. Thank you to Police and Fire. That's also exceptional in that recap. Yeah, we have a lot of needs, so I understand that the CIP is always a lot to deal with. But thank you for your work. Jason does a really great job with all of that. Go through my notes here. Yeah, really appreciate the increase in the community engagement and the social media, especially in the last 3 months or so of the year. We've just been really gaining a lot of momentum and excited to see that continue. With the homelessness and coordination of care, something that stood out to me after being involved in this space quite a bit is I'm really impressed to see that we have out of those, I think it was 136. We only had 12 arrests, I think it was, but 45 that either relocated or went to higher care. I'm really happy to see that that number is, the ratio is 12 and 45 versus the inverse, 45 arrests and 12 getting higher care or relocating. And some of those relocations, I don't know the specifics of them, but sometimes it can be relocating to family, to be reunited with a family member, or they lived out of state and kind of got stuck here. Sometimes it can be very, very positive relocation. And then I think I had a couple more later on in yeah, here we go, new page. Love the business-friendly approach ideas, streamlining softwares and what have you. I'm actually very excited to see us find some permitting softwares and efficiencies using the AI. That technology has been emerging. Last year, I was, starting off my year, I was really excited to dive into it, but maybe it was a little too soon. So I'm excited to see some movement towards that, and love to see our staff spend their talents doing, some things that could otherwise be, not spending their time doing things that could otherwise be automated, but, free them up to use their mind and their talents and on higher level, things than processing the paperwork as best we can as a government agency. Yeah, emergency preparedness, yeah, get those trainings. That sounds great. I just will remind everybody that this time last year we were dealing with the PSPSs. Yeah, so the day of our first council meeting, City Hall, the power went out at City Hall. So that's what we're dealing with this time last year. So yeah, so a lot of great things as far as that goes. So in recapping that, one of the reasons why I wanted to go over a little bit of what you just recapped from last year is, what can we say about building on last year's goals? Obviously, we don't abandon those goals. So is it just kind of, what is your thought on that? On how do we continue the goals that you just went over?
Well, I suppose it depends on which goals you're referring to, but no, I think we're building a lot of momentum in general. I'm very pleased with the direction things are going. There's been a lot of change in the city in the past year, a lot of change in direction, and I want to acknowledge the staff for handling that change well. Change is always a little scary, I think, for just human nature. It's nerve-wracking when there's change. The staff has really stepped up. We've had new leadership at the city. We've gone through a restructuring. We've asked them to change their schedules to accommodate longer hours here at City Hall. Just a lot of change. Mm-hmm. But through it all, the staff has worked very hard. You heard the list I went through is not even comprehensive in terms of the accomplishments of the last year, and so I think that we will continue to build on all of the progress, and I think it's important that we every year stop and say, okay, what are the main goals for the year? We're going to keep working on all the things we've been working on, but what are really, let's stop and take a moment to think about, what are the main things, what are the most important things this year, and that's where we're looking here. I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure, it was fine. I just was like, those were all really great accomplishments. I'd like to just continue to build and move the momentum in that favor. I was just so excited listening to the recap that it's like, yeah, let's go. Let's keep building on those last year's goals. I don't want to. That's just a general question. And then when is the next time we check in on these goals? These current goals?
We do this annually.
Yeah.
Right. These goals have a way of popping up during city manager evaluations as well.
All right. All right. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Nig.
Thank you. Let's see here. Bridge, I was thinking about what you had said about the parks and trails. Would it be appropriate to just maybe go after grants? Maybe it falls under one of the goals that are already aligned, and then just kind of add that to the grant, procurement list of searching and trying to get federal money, state money for parks and, that kind of stuff? I mean, that's really the only way we're going to do it.
We're constantly tracking grant opportunities, and yes. In fact, through WRCOG, WRCOG has as a program where, as a member agency of WRCOG, they have a staff member who tracks grants at every level.
Okay.
And they send them to us on a regular basis, and they have different categories, and what is the grant for, who qualifies for it. For certain categories of grants, they'll even do the grant writing.
Oh, good for them.
Application for you, right? So we have that assistance from WRCOG, and we're pretty aggressive in going.
I would say that that kind of answers the mail with it. I mean, I think the goals are specific but broad enough to really encompass quite a bit. So I'm actually happy with the list. The only thing I would ask, and if you guys are, I'm assuming this will be printed out somewhere for staff and department heads to have.
Absolutely.
And employees.
Yes.
I would just ask to move number 3 to the top of the list, so it's the first one everyone sees. Mm-hmm. Even though they're all the same priority and the same level of severity, that one to me is the one that, the answer's not no, it's yes if, right? So enhance the resident and business-friendly approach.
Happy to do that.
Okay. If you guys are good with that, that's it, yeah. Thank you, Chris. That was very very good presentation and thorough.
All right, thank you. Well, I'd like to also thank you for that lengthy presentation. But in all seriousness, oftentimes it's easy to forget about all the accomplishments because we're so busy looking forward, looking at what's coming next. So it was really great to see all of the work, or not all, but have a representation of the work that was accomplished throughout the year by our staff. I just want to extend a sincere thank you to all staff for your contribution and your dedication and commitment to our community, for showing up every day through change. I know 2025, as City Manager Mann mentioned, there was a lot of change. So I just want to express my heartfelt thanks to you all and applaud you for a job well done and continuing to progress through the work. With that being said, I think Mayor Pro Tem Nigg's recommendation to move the number 3 to the first spot, even though they're not prioritized, would be good. Just as a constant reminder of why we're here.
It's kind of important to prioritize,
But with that being said, I'm comfortable with the goals. I'm actually interested to see what metrics we'll use to measure how we progress. So hopefully that comes back before performance review. All right.
I'll make a motion if.
Yeah, that's good. Do I have a second?
The goals.
Second.
Nice, Bridget.
All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, that will bring us to item 3.6. Introduce and conduct the first reading of an ordinance amending business registration and other provisions under Title V and the Municipal Code, presented by our Community Development Director, Robert Flores.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Robert Flores, Community Development Director, here to present agenda item 3.6. The item before you today includes introduction and first reading of an ordinance, like the mayor said, that proposes to amend Title V, mainly Chapter 5.68, which is known as our Business Registration and Licensing Program. Currently, the program requires both a license and a registration for any businesses or any business being conducted within the city. The ordinance changes this to only require registration for a business, in turn simplifying the overall process for our incoming and existing businesses to comply with the program. The benefits of maintaining a registration program include our ability to confirm compliance with state and federal water quality requirements and build a running list of registered businesses that can later be used for economic development and statistical purposes. Further, no license or registration will be required for vendors under an approved special event. So when we have the Wildomarts, the event organizer would have a business registration, but the vendors will not, which will simplify the process. And lastly, no change to the current registration fee as adopted by this body in 2019, which is $75 for the business registration and $50 for the renewal. The changes may appear significant in the documents that are provided with the staff report because we are also making global changes to Title V and the municipal code, and Title V and other areas of the municipal code to create consistency within the municipal code itself. For example, the term business license found globally within the code is now changed to business registration. Also, since the original ordinance was inherited by the county when we had incorporated, there's a lot of references to county departments and the county itself. So we want to change that to make it City of Wildomar, City of Wildomar departments. With that, staff recommends approval of the item as presented in the staff report, which introduces and conducts the first reading for later adoption and second read of the ordinance. That concludes my report. Here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To my colleagues, do we have any questions, any clarifying questions before we go to public comment?
Mr. Mayor, I just have kind of one general comment. Just kind of bigger picture on the business registration program. We are working to lessen the burden of the program on the business owners in the community. We're trying to take a softer approach towards business registration. So this is kind of a step in moving in that direction. We're not looking to run this as a licensing program anymore. We really want to make it just a registration. And we'll continue to evaluate the program and look for ways that we can make it even a smoother process for business owners.
Fantastic. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
To my colleagues, do we have any comments? Councilmember Moore?
Yeah, are we still using the HDL? Is that who we're using for the business license registration?
Yes, we are, yeah.
Okay, so if they want to renew.
We have renewed, yes.
Okay, so we've renewed, and so now, but if a business wants to do a renewal, they should have.
If I may, it would be another application through HDL and their portal for the renewal. And the fee, again, is $50 for that. And again, like Chris said, we're going to mention, we're trying to facilitate the process so that it could be smoother and simpler.
Okay, so if there's a business right now that had a business registration, but they've let it lapse, what's the best way for them to now, they have to reapply?
If it's lapsed, then yes, they would apply for a brand new business registration.
Registration, and pay the $75?
$75.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Moore Abito? No? What was that?
You were going to public comment.
Oh, no, there was no public comment, right?
That's right. I'm sorry.
Councilmember DiFilippo?
Yes, please. Thank you. I'm proposing for discussion. Before I was on council, there was somewhat of a carve-out for businesses under a certain revenue. So I think at the time it was maybe $2,000. So was it $2,000 annually? Yeah, it was a few years ago. But I'm just proposing. Do you remember that, Tom?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Remember talking about?
I feel familiar with it, yeah.
So basically, if you made under a certain dollar amount per year, then you don't have to worry about a business license until you exceed that cap. So in my mind, that would encourage business startups. It would encourage your small maker market type of businesses until they can get up and going, because it seems to people are going to do it anyway to some extent, but that way people can do their startup can create their startup without the worry of business licensing until they know they're going to have some level of success. So I just wanted to revisit that. It was quite a while ago.
Can I chime in on just that one? I like that idea because there are a lot of home-based businesses where they might not make any money for a while. And the question is, do we want to bring them into the fold as registered businesses and encourage that? And if we have, even $50 if you're, making bread at home could seem like, I'm not going to spend the money on that. So if there's a way to put that in there, or at least see if it's feasible, I agree with that one.
So I think they should still register, but are you saying that the fee would be less if they were under a certain amount? I still think we need to know what businesses are here, so we need the registration. But look, if it's under a certain amount, we can lower the fee. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm not proposing that. I'm just proposing that there's some kind of a carve out for businesses that it might not make sense for them to take the time, or they might even think that they're doing enough to take the time to do it, and they would fly under the radar probably anyhow, and then it would be a way that, to just, for those who want to do it the right way, they could just still start their business, get going at a certain point, then they would register. So either way, there would be some education involved.
I have a question. This sounds dumb. This question probably sounds dumb, but what is the purpose of registering, like having a business registration as a business? Like, what is the purpose, like from the city standpoint? What do we get from it? What do they get from it?
Well, it's threefold, really. In the staff report, I mentioned two of the items. Number one is we do have state mandates that the city has to ensure compliance to state water quality requirements, and that's the process that we do that through. Number two, for the city's benefit and for the economic development benefit, we create this list of registered businesses that, in turn, we can use as a database for economic development, for resource sharing, and things of that nature. The last one. God, I had the last one. I forgot what it was, but there wasn't another one.
I know during COVID, it was, definitely having, a more expansive, all-encompassing list during COVID. We had a list. It probably could have been more robust, but that would have been more helpful, right? To help, at least to get information to the businesses, from the city or county standpoint, from health regulations. Hey, this is the rules, or these are the rules. So I see that. I just was curious if there's any other driving force behind it.
There is for insurance, so.
Yeah. That was actually my last, came back to me, is on the business side, sometimes certain processes require a confirmation that you're compliant with either business license, business registration with the city. So the registration allows the business to have that in hand and say, we have business registration.
And perhaps I should have said too, an optional, business like requirement. So not requirement, but optional. Oh, as a carve out.
I agree with what you're saying. Like if you just started like making, I don't know, little boats at home or something, you're not even really thinking you're a business, right? You're just going to the craft store, and then all of a sudden, it turns into a business. And there's a little, weird line. I would hate to.
If you're selling, you're a business.
I agree.
If you're making bread at home, you need a county health permit. It's
now, if they're going to sell at I guess the only, if I was starting my own business at home making cookies or whatever it is, I wouldn't see the need to really do anything. I'm going to go along to get along, right? Now, if you want to sell cookies at a city event, we have to, we require the business registration, right? So, there's kind of that forcing function there. I see what you're saying. I agree. But if there's certain state mandates, I'm not sure how to get around it, so.
I also want to mention that property owners, business centers that lease out, they require their businesses to have, so
there's a lot of controls in place.
Yeah.
One thing I will mention is we do have carve out, what we're calling carve outs in our ordinance currently, both in our existing Title V for the program itself and the fee. So we don't have currently, but we're proposing a carve out for these vendors that are part of these special events for that same reason, to simplify the process, and because they're startups, those are the startups we're seeing. In addition, one of the things about, we also have a carve out for nonprofits and certain businesses, agricultural businesses and things of that nature that don't have to go through the process. So that's already in there. But, and we can certainly consider a carve out, but that, if it has to do with financial thresholds, that is also going to add another item on the list that we have to check, staff ourselves have to check to weed out the ones that don't have to register and the ones that do. So that's just one thing to consider.
Yeah, and I just wonder, what would be the verification of that? Do they need to bring you their tax statements?
Yeah.
For their
it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, are they going to want to share? So I think there's a lot of healthy discussion happening up here. I am interested in seeing if there's a way to explore making it easier for those startup businesses. However, I do have the concern around if these business owners choose to participate or engage in one of our events, right? I think I've already seen in your head that they need the business registration at a minimum. So at that point, it kind of seems needed. I also don't know how much of it is state mandated, or what do we need to comply with. I am open to exploring it, though. I also wonder if there'd be an opportunity to engage. Let's say that this does work and we get a lot more business registered. I wonder if there's opportunity to engage with the chamber, or even promote our Wildomar Engaging Businesses meeting for these startup business owners, see what value we can bring to them. Yes, sir.
There's a part of this. Let's talk about like being a vendor at the park. That's exactly part of it, because some of these might be people who just crocheted a bunch of stuff. So maybe we can have a carve out. So if they contact Daniel and want to have a booth at the park, but they don't have a registration, maybe we can have a program for that where they're that special carve out
legal
for them
and it's not
at the
food.
park. That's if somebody's at home making their needlepoint, they probably are going to fly under the radar. They don't care. They're selling on Etsy. They're not going to bother. But if somebody wants to go to the park and they're not a legit full-on business, and I don't know if that's too difficult to ascertain or not, but I'd like to see the people that want to participate in our events, because it's not like we have 100 applicants for 20 spots. I mean, if we had an extra 5 tables, that'd be great. So if there's a way to accommodate that, I think that'd be nice.
One thing to consider is that this program applies to private businesses, so city events don't have to go through the process of registering, including the vendors. And the carve-out that's proposed is proposed for the private side of these events. When somebody like Wildomar wants to put an event, they will have the registration, but their vendors don't have to go through that process in case they are the smaller vendors, the startups. They don't have to be, put through the ringer to participate in that event.
But if it's like the Wilder Market, for example, and it's a non-food vendor, they would have to have a license, right?
Yeah, so as part of the entitlement process, I would call it the temporary use permit or special event permit, the event itself would be conditioned that the vendors would have to get public health permits and other permits that are not city related to operate, but they won't need that business registration.
I would say we can. I think there's more to dissect with this idea. And I'm not opposed to it if there's a way to do it. I would recommend we approve this as it stands, and I would want to direct staff to, Robert, go back, have somebody have some good discussion with Ashley after the meeting, and kind of go back and do some homework and, come back to the next meeting or something like that, just with some ideas that we can maybe amend the ordinance. I mean, that's just as easy.
Before we do that, I did see somebody come up and submit public comments, so I'd like to hear that before we make any determinations.
Okay.
Jessica Hume.
Good call.
Done a lot of business consulting in the past, and I will say that when someone is trying to get up and going, they're a mom with kids, that $75 is a lot of money until they're making $2,000. And what I've come across in a lot of business consulting is a lot of businesses don't make it. They don't even make the $100 to pay the $75. And I don't know how many people I've walked through the process of this great dream and vision to start a business, and they try it, and they don't even cover their costs. And they soon go through the hard process of realizing, in fact, I really don't encourage many people to start their own businesses because it's so complicated. The overheads are so complex. I love the $2,000. That's very common, actually, around the world, that there's a bit of a give for when someone starts making a certain amount of money, they register, they go through their business license process. But unfortunately, the sad part of business consulting that I've had to do is walking through people the process they don't even make and cover the basic costs for what they're doing. So I do think it, especially for a city like Wildomar, it's just gracious and realistic also. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
To add to my second, if we could find that, because I might have had misinformation. I thought that a recent change in the policy to be at the park, like they needed a business registration. If that's not the case, then I withdraw that part. But if that is the case, then it'd be great to address it. With that, that's the second.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Later on the agenda, we're going to be talking about city committees. This might be one. It seems like there's a lot here. There's a lot we could do. maybe instead of having staff put something together that we think is what you're looking for and bring back, maybe it's not, and maybe going back, maybe it might be a good opportunity to appoint an ad hoc committee to really delve into this issue. I want to comment too on something Mayor Pro Tem Nig said earlier, kind of questioning, what's the value in the program overall? Right? That is worth discussing, and maybe that's something the committee can look at as well, because some cities are going the other way and doing away with their business registration programs altogether, or making them completely voluntary, because there are some businesses who want them. There's some benefit to them. Now, most cities that do that keep licensing or registration active in certain categories, right? Cannabis, you're going to need to license that, right? You got a liquor store, you got to license that. Massage parlor, you got to license that. But for most businesses, it's not a requirement. If you want one, it's voluntary. We'll give you the piece of paper if you want. But what we've been discussing a lot internally, when I got here, we were spending an enormous amount of staff time on top of the HDL contract managing this program. And we could never charge enough for the business license to recoup the cost of the staff time managing the program. And so, the question is, what is the benefit to the city? What is the benefit to the community? What's the benefit to the businesses who have the license? And is all of that worth yes, there are some benefits. We get a list of businesses that we can use for economic development, but is that worth all of the effort that's going into it? I've also seen some cities who have eliminated their programs partner with the chamber, and the chamber kind of takes on a role of keeping track of who's doing business in town. So some cities contract with their chamber to do kind of an annual business survey to track businesses. So there might be opportunities with the chamber as well. But I think there's a lot that we could look at with this topic, and maybe it's a good topic for an ad hoc committee.
Tom, I would like to amend my motion. How do I do that?
Just do it again.
Or do we just vote all no real quick and then?
No, I mean you can withdraw any motion that you've made, and if if the council would like to either direct staff to do a little more homework or potentially appoint an ad hoc committee, I would recommend what you do tonight with item 3.6 is just table the item.
That's exactly what I was going to. Yeah.
Okay, rather than approve it and then try to amend it. So just table it.
Yeah, that's why. Do I need to make a motion for that, right?
Yes, you just need a motion to table.
Question though, just point of clarification. So it's a first reading. After the first reading, could we make? Okay.
So after you do a first reading, you can't make changes at the second reading.
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Well, we're just kind of discussing this on the fly, but I guess a question for the city attorney. One of the reasons that we wanted to bring this rather quickly is that, discussions we had with the council and direction we'd received from the council over the past few months had been to kind of shift in this new direction of less regulation and less burden, which we've done and we're doing. But we find ourselves now in a position where we are not acting in line with what is in the municipal code, right? We are not running a licensing program really now. So might it be better just to adopt this now so that we are no longer, I don't want to say out of compliance with the municipal code, but so that we're acting in line with what's on our code. And then we can take some time with the committee to formulate the longer term strategy.
Sure, absolutely. You could approve the ordinance as presented tonight, and then at the next meeting, when the second reading is on the agenda, you wouldn't make any changes. It would just go through as is, but then over the next months or weeks.
We could just rescind
Correct. Then you would amend this existing ordinance that you're approving tonight and at the next meeting.
So Dustin, I like that. What do you think?
I love it.
And I'll make that motion to just do the original
what Tom said.
Item.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
And now we need to make sure we create an ad hoc committee for this, so.
All right, well, we'll address this in the next item. 3.3, the city council, city committees. All right. Commissions, boards, and presented by our city clerk, Jeanette Morales Garcia.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is for the City Council to review the list of the City Council representatives and alternates for city-specific committees. Although the Council approved updates to the regional committees in December, these city-specific committees were not reviewed at that time. At the end of my report, after the mayor asks for public comment, I will proceed through the list line by line, identify each committee, and note the current appointments and or the proposed staff changes. For each committee, council will have the opportunity to discuss and provide a recommended action. There'll also be an opportunity to add or remove any committees as the council would like. And for clarity for each action item, we will be taking a separate vote. These appointments would be effective immediately, and then it would remain in place through the calendar year or until otherwise revised by the City Council. That completes my initial report, and I'm available for any questions.
Does council have any questions before we open, or see if there's any public comment? None? City Clerk, is there any public comment?
No public comment.
All right. I'll now pass it back to the City Clerk.
Thank you. So we will start with our Community Engagement Committee. Staff's recommending that the council appoint 2 members to this committee.
All right. Well, I'd actually love to be part of this. And I'm curious, Ashley, would you like to join me on this committee?
I'm sure. I enjoyed working with Carlos, Mayor Marquez last year, and I'll welcome the opportunity to have something to work with.
We do it everyone. All right, I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0. The next committee is the Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District. Currently, Ashley DiFilippo and Joseph Morabito serve on that committee.
Madam Clerk, my mornings are different than they were before, so I'm not going to be able to do that this year.
What days are they?
They're on Mondays at 8:30. They meet every other month.
Every other month. I can probably work it out.
Either here at City Hall.
Is it City Hall?
It alternates between here and then EVMWD in Lake Elsinore.
Who's on it right now? Ashley? I don't mind doing it as long as I do some grace if I'm like 15
Can I be an
minutes late.
alternate?
Or you can do it, man, if you want. If you can swing it.
All right.
I'm just about getting the kids to school. That's weird. Okay, so Carlos? Yeah, you're good. Okay, I'll make a motion for replace Joseph with Carlos on that.
Second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have our Finance Committee, who's served by Councilmember Moore and Mayor Marquez, and this committee meets annually.
My schedule remains unchanged, so I'm happy to continue on this committee.
I'm
All right.
fine as well.
I'll make a motion to keep the same.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0. The next committee is the Lake Elsinore Unified School District. We have Mayor Pro Tem Nig and Councilmember DiFilippo that serve on it, and it meets quarterly on the first Monday.
I like the, if you guys are good with me serving still, I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Boom.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okie dokie.
All right, and if I remember correctly, you mentioned that we'd be dissolving some of these ad hocs. Is that the next step?
Yeah, so staff is recommending that we dissolve the Community Services Committee, the Franchise Committee, the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, and the Regional Homeless Task Force committees. These committees haven't met in several years, so we're recommending dissolving it. But of course, should the City Council want to add them back in, they could add that back in at a future council meeting.
I'm good with dissolving those.
I'll make a motion to dissolve the
Can I ask
committees.
a question, though?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm in favor of that also.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Chesterton's fence, and before you tear down Chesterton's fence, you figure out why they put it up to begin with. So what are these groups? What's the franchise committee? What are the 3 that we're going to say goodbye to?
So the Franchise Committee initially was started when we were going through the trash haulers franchise agreement. But now that agreement has been approved, they haven't met since then. The Intergovernmental Relations Committee was started at one point to meet with neighboring cities. Again, that hasn't continued to go through every year. And then the Regional Homeless Task Force, from what I recall, was we had a regional task force with Elsinore and surrounding cities, but they do no longer meet.
It's morphed into something else.
They've switched the providers that were assisting them.
I appreciate the details. Thank you.
All right, there's a motion. You second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0. Then we have the Public Parks, Facilities, and Trails Naming Committee. This was specific to the policy that was created, and the current members are Councilmember Moore and Councilmember Morbido.
So I have some thoughts on this, and I was actually wondering if there'd be an opportunity to engage our youth, and allowing them to exercise their voice and just gather some participation in our schools to support with identifying or suggesting either park naming or what have you. And with that, I think it would just make sense to dissolve the ad hoc and add it as a task to the Lake Elsinore Unified School District 2x2.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay.
Well, we want input from everyone, not just you.
I mean, it sounds like, actually, I like that idea. I mean, depending on the schedules, and if we had the schools buy in and we're in the MPR and we're talking to the kids, I mean, maybe that would be the LEUSD group, or it would just be the group we already have that we've been going, whichever way. But I do like the idea of community outreach that way. And sometimes with some of these ad hoc committees, it would be great to have one that's not just the two members and staff. It'd be great to have it open to the public, especially almost everything we do involves for the public good. So I think that's a great idea. Whether that means dissolve this or not, that's, I guess, up to the council.
No, I disagree. I'm fine with engaging the youth, and they can be a part of it, and the whole community can be a part of it, but either it needs to be a task under something else. I don't think it needs to be under the school district one, or it stays the same. If you want different members, that's fine, but
I'd like to be a part of it. If we're not going to dissolve it, I'd want to get on it. I think it would be appropriate. I have a lot of thoughts with the naming of parks, with you in particular. I think there's things that would be more appropriate. I'd like to be a part of it.
I'm fine with, I don't not care who's on it. I just think it either needs to stay the same, or it can be a task, but not under LESD. I don't think that's where it belongs.
I can make way for you, if that's fine.
Okay.
Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Dustin's had a lot of opinions in the past about park naming that have been valid and passionate.
Thanks, Joseph. Oh yeah. I have some thoughts. I think it'd be well, whatever comes forward. If we're not going to dissolve it, I'm good with. I understand your logic with the school district, just because it's with the school, we can engage a superintendent and kind of work out something. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm open to either one, but if we're not going to dissolve it and add to that, I'd like to be. If Joseph, you're good with that, it'd be cool. I think.
Sure.
Okay.
And then.
All right, then I'll make a motion to.
Mayor, if I may, please.
Yep.
So,
or not me,
the reasoning behind this ad hoc committee being developed, and just to go back and reiterate why it was 2 council members, it was to actually revise the policy. Mm-hmm. So the policy that was created, this ad hoc committee, it was to revise it, and so that's was the general reason. So, and aligning with Councilmember Moore, it's just that it was a task force to structure that particular policy.
Noted.
Well, appreciate that that further context, Daniel. I would have fun if you guys don't mind. I mean, I think it would be fun to jump into that with Dustin. I have a lot. I'm finding myself over the past few weeks. I have a lot more time on my hands, so I'm not mayor.
Okay.
I don't know. Just throwing it out
I mean,
there.
if you guys are good with it, I'm.
Well, I'm good with that. It sounds like there's some consensus up here on the dais, so I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion. So Ashley and I on the renaming, not dissolving. Okay, make a motion.
All right, all in favor? Or sorry, do we have a second? I didn't hear a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
And then I think we have a previous item, action item from 3.6 that we're looking
Yes.
to create an ad hoc.
Can we create, I'd like to make a motion to create an ad hoc subcommittee for business registration. Ordinance. I mean, come on, Tom.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
This is something that you'd be good at. You just mentioned you got a little extra time.
Yeah, I can.
Is that something you're interested in doing?
Yeah.
Okay, business registration ordinance, ad hoc subcommittee. Ad hoc committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Committee. Not,
Whatever, committee.
we're trying to get away from the term subcommittee. So yes, it's
ad hoc.
committee should either be standing or ad hoc.
So I think Subway, Submarina, and I want to add it to committees, and I'm good with it. So, okay, I'd like to make a motion to create an ad hoc committee with no subs, apparently, for business registration ordinance. And I want to talk to you at one point. I'd like to be on it. Yeah, I'd like to be on it.
Is that something you want to join Justin with?
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to be on that.
If
And
I
then
may,
we can figure out who would be.
quick question, is this
Yeah.
as needed or is there specific dates, so for the planning?
We can figure that out. I mean,
Okay,
just
as needed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, within the next couple of weeks, and then we can get going on when we're going to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's the motion.
All right, looking for a second.
Not clean.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, that brings us to item 3.4, Capital Improvement Program and Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee, otherwise known as TUMF, project prioritization, presented by Public Works Director Jason Farrick.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I do have a presentation. Let me just see if do we have the slides available?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, thank you.
I can switch it for you.
Okay.
Or is it on?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn the remote on. My mistake. So the item before you this evening is a presentation on a few of our key CIP projects and the prioritization of those projects, and also our TUMF project prioritization. So just by way of overview, as you know, the city implements a 5-year capital improvement program. We update that program annually, we bring it before the council annually, and it gets adopted annually. And so that program establishes a 5-year projected budget for all of our capital improvement projects. Our project categories include roadway projects, signal projects, general maintenance projects, drainage, parks, trails, buildings, cemetery, and just other projects that maybe don't fall into these categories. These projects are all in a variety of stages. So some projects may be strictly a planning project where, as an example, in the past, we did a master drainage plan. That was just a planning document, capital project that ultimately becomes future separate projects. But a lot of our projects are construction projects, and so some may be in the planning phase, some may be in the design, right-of-way permitting phase, and then others may be in the construction phase. Our projects are funded by a variety of fund sources. I've listed just a few on the screen. We have a significant amount of additional funding sources not listed here, but these are some of our primary funding sources. TUMF, DIF, which is Development Impact Fees, Measure A, Measure AA, and grants. And grants were mentioned earlier in terms of possibly going after grants for a trail on Wildomar Trail as an example. So just to touch on what our current grant funding looks like, we have a total of 51 projects in our CIP program right now. Of those, 17 projects have some form of grant funding in them. Our total grant funding is just over $36 million across our 5-year program. A good majority of that is coming from local grants, a lot of which are coming from Riverside County Transportation Commission. We do have close to $5 million in state grants, and then we do have just over $2 million in federal grants from the Federal Highway Administration. One thing that we do have to keep in mind with grants is that a lot of grants require a local match. And what that means is the city is committing to pay a certain percentage towards the total project cost to receive a certain percentage from the grant agency. So a lot of some grants require a 50% match. Other grants may require a 25% match. And some grants, not a lot of them, but some grants don't require any match. And the other thing to note about grants is that they do in one way prioritize those projects for the city, because the grants come with a timeline and a deadline to expend those funds. So if we don't want to lose those funds, we do have to set a very specific timeline for that project to make sure that we deliver it on schedule to keep and use those funds. And so oftentimes grants do, in a way, reprioritize our projects and move them up to ensure that we don't lose those funds. And so with that, I want to touch on some of our local grants and our that we have through RCTC for some of our key projects, our Bundy Canyon Road improvement projects and our Clinton Keith Road widening project. So in 2023, the city applied for grant funding from RCTC for Bundy Canyon Road Segment 2 and Bundy Canyon Road Segment 3. We received our full funding request for Segment 2, just over $13 million, and we received a partial funding request for Segment 3, meaning that project is not yet fully funded. So we got partial grant funds. We did not receive what we estimated we needed to be able to move that project forward. Just a quick update on Segment 2. So since 2023, staff has been busily working on this project to move it forward to construction. That involved executing new design contracts with the designer of record, going through the environmental permitting phase with the regulatory agencies, Fish and Wildlife, California Water Quality Control Board, and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, purchasing mitigation credits, which we did a few months ago to meet our environmental permit requirements. But probably one of the biggest tasks in Bundy Canyon Segment 2 has been the utility coordination, and that's been one of our most time-consuming tasks. As we got into the final steps of the design and working with our utility partners to make sure that utility conflicts are identified ahead of time, we discovered that there's a water line that needs to be relocated with the project. And working with Edison, we already knew that we needed to relocate, but we actually began the process to work with Edison to relocate their lines, and they're actually planning to now underground their lines. And working with Southern California Gas Company to relocate one of their lines, and I believe they have a high-pressure gas line there. And so those have been some of the heavier lifts that we've had to go through over the last few years. And so we've made a lot of positive progress on that, and we actually are nearing the end of that phase with those utility agencies. Southern California Gas is actually, we're expecting them to relocate some of their gas lines ahead of our construction. They're making progress towards that. We've finalized our plans with EVMWD for the water line, and Edison. We made a lot of progress with Edison, where they're almost finalized with the design, which is a very important thing for this project to move forward smoothly. And so we have a lot of positive momentum with our partner agencies on this project. The design is complete. We have our environmental permitting. So Bundy Canyon is very close to being construction ready and ready to advertise. With that, obviously a few years have passed since we applied for the grant. And so we've and some changes have happened to the project, the utility adjustments, and so some costs have gone up. And I listed some estimates on the screen here. In total, our cost increases are estimated at $20 million. And I know that's a large number. $8.5 million is by itself just the water line relocation. So that is a reimbursable expense. So that's something the city will do as part of the project, but EVMWD is agreeing to reimburse the city for that. There are some expenses for utility Edison adjustments that the city is going to be responsible to do. Some of the costs Edison is going to be responsible. So there's some cost sharing there. And then construction costs obviously continue to go up year over year. So there's some cost increases there. But one of the other categories that has increased more substantially, and it's in the staff report, is our construction administration and management. So with all of the utility adjustments, and specifically with Edison, and the way this project has to be built, there are a lot of different parts of the construction where Edison will need to come in and temporarily relocate, and then our contractor will have to do some construction, and then Edison will come back and do another temporary relocation. And so there's a lot of these phases where we have to provide time for the utility companies to come in and make their adjustments. And so what that results in is an approximate 2-year construction window. When you extend the construction window, it adds to the cost of the project, because now we have to have more inspection, more oversight, more management, more environmental compliance. And that's another area where our costs have gone up, is environmental compliance. This project is under an environmental impact report and our regulatory permits. So there's a lot of environmental compliance costs, and even ongoing costs for a few years after the completion of the project for ongoing monitoring as before we close out our permit. So that's just a high-level summary of where Bundy Canyon currently is, and some of the reasons for those cost increase. Bundy Canyon Segment 3 is, again, as I mentioned, not fully funded. So staff's time and focus have really been primarily focused on Segment 2 and moving that forward. We have had some discussions about ways that we can move Segment 3 possibly in a more accelerated manner. There is some coordination efforts that we've had discussions with, because there is a development on either side of Segment 3, the Oak Creek Canyon development project. So we have had coordination meetings with that developer, and we have been communicating with RCTC just the status of that project, so they know where we are with the funds that they've awarded us. But no specific construction schedule yet for Segment 3, because our focus has been on Segment 2 and because we don't have the full funding to move that forward. On Clinton Keith, again, once we received the grant in 2023 for about $5.5 million, staff also proceeded to push that project forward to completion. We did have to execute a new design contract, which we brought forward to the council several years ago, to update the design and complete it. One of the things with this project was that differed slightly from the grant application is that we amended the project scope, where originally the project scope was planned to be 4 lanes from 6 lanes from the freeway to Elizabeth, and then 4 lanes from Elizabeth to the city limits with Murrieta. And as we brought forward in prior CIP in the CIP booklet, that scope was amended to widen the road to 6 lanes from Elizabeth to the city limits, because that's ultimately what our general plan calls for. And the amount of extra work and design and construction that was necessary to do that was not a tremendous amount. And so the approach there was to just complete this construction all at once, rather than having to come back in the future another time to build another portion of Clinton Keith. Now, with that scope change, there was an increase in cost. And another area where our current estimates have an increase in cost is because there are many active development projects along the Clinton Keith corridor. What we wanted to avoid is a situation where the city came in, spent millions of dollars to improve the road, widen the road, and then have a development project come in and cut a new trench, or cut the pavement to put in a new median, or cut new conduits for a new traffic signal. And so we've tried to coordinate with the adjacent development projects and try to develop reimbursement agreements where certain specific improvements, if they're project specific, could potentially be included in the city's capital project, but the developer would agree through this agreement to reimburse the city because those are project costs. So that's also, those costs are also represented in this cost increase estimate. So the cost increase, again, there's been some just general increases in costs, and then also construction administration expenditures. And so the total estimate increase is just over $13 million, putting the total project costs at just under $25 million. So this brings us to kind of the next part of this presentation, which is related to TUMP funding and prioritizing our TUMP projects. So as I mentioned, TUMP is one of the major funding sources for our capital improvement program. In fiscal year 25-26, almost a third of our budget is TUMP for our CIP program. So it's a substantial funding source for us. Just as a high-level summary for those in the audience that may not be familiar, the TUMF program is the Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee Program. It's a mitigation fee that development projects are required to pay to offset their impacts to the transportation network, not just in the city, but throughout the western Riverside County. So that map kind of shows all the different TUMF roadways throughout the county. These are roadways where TUMF funding can help fund those improvements to those roads. So in the city of Wildomar, Bundy Canyon Road, Clinton Keith Road, Palomar Street, our interchanges, and Wildomar Trail are all TUMF eligible. So that means that there's an established dollar amount in the TUMF program that the city can use to help build these roads. That dollar amount doesn't cover the full cost of the road. So as development pays for their impacts, they're paying for new impacts. They're not paying for existing deficiencies. So one road may only collect 75% of what the total roadway cost actually is. So we request funding from WRCOG. We request this TUMF funding annually from them. So each year we meet with our zone of the TUMF program. So the city of Wildomar is in the southwest zone. So that includes the city of Wildomar, county of Riverside, city of Lake Elsinore, city of Murrieta, city of Temecula. So each year those cities meet and request WRCOG to fund projects in their cities. The zone as a whole has to agree on the funding requests. And so we are all competing in a way for available funding in that fiscal year's budget from WRCOG. Each city makes a request. Some cities may offer comments, but typically, everyone comes to an agreement, and then that gets approved as that fiscal year's TUMF funding. So the city could theoretically request the maximum TUMF funding for our projects. So as an example, Bundy Canyon Road has $26 million total available, 26 or 27 available in TUMF. However, if the city were to make that request, there are also other projects that we have that we want to move forward, like Clinton Keith, like Palomar. So we could make those requests, but it's not likely feasible that we'll get our total TUMF funding for all of our projects, because Murrieta has projects they need to fund, Temecula has projects they need to fund, and so the funding needs to be able to cover all agency projects. So because of that, and because our project costs have gone up, we've realized that it's not feasible to be able to move both Bundy Canyon Road and Clinton Keith Road to construction concurrently. And the reason for that is because to do so, we would have to request a large amount of TUMF funding for both projects at the same time amongst some of our other projects that are getting TUMF funded. And so while we could make that request, it's likely not feasible to get approved. And so with that, and just to highlight some of the other projects we have, so we've touched on Bundy east of the freeway, we've touched on Clinton Keith. Some of our other TUMF funded projects are Bundy Canyon Road west of the freeway, which we're planning to begin the design process on. We have some grant funds there as well. Palomar Street, I apologize, that should be 2 lines. So Palomar Street, which is the ongoing construction we see right now, and our 2 interchange projects, which we've started to do the preliminary work on. And so those are projects that all have to maintain some level of funding for us to complete either the current phase that we're on or to move to the next step. And so with that, it brings us to a staff's recommendation. And so what we're recommending this evening is that because of these, because of ultimately the funding limitation and how much we can request all at once from TUMF, what staff is recommending is that the city prioritize Bundy Canyon Road Segment 2 for construction ahead of Clinton Keith Road, to move that forward to construction. And with that, we have listed a recommended prioritization of our TUMF eligible projects. And I apologize, this might be a little bit small, so I'll read through them quickly. What we would recommend in terms of making our funding requests to WRCOG in this upcoming fiscal year is prioritizing Palomar Street first, because that's an ongoing construction project. We want to make sure that the city can will get reimbursed for those expenditures and not have to carry those expenditures too many years forward. Following that, we would prioritize Bundy Canyon Road Segment 2, and make the funding request we need to complete that construction cost. We still recommend including some funding for Clinton Keith, but it may be a very minimal amount so that we can complete everything in the pre-construction phase, complete the right-of-way, complete the permitting, so that when eventually the funding becomes available, we're ready to move into construction. We're not having to wait to complete steps. As funding allows, we do recommend maintaining some funds, and there are not a lot of funds needed just to begin the design on the west side of the freeway, because like I mentioned, we do have some grant funding commitments there. And then the last two are our I-15 interchange improvement projects. So we are currently wrapping up the very initial planning phase of both of those interchanges. The next phase for each of these interchanges is estimated to be about $4 to $5 million each. So in total, those two would be close to $10 million. And that is the planning and environmental document phase. One of the things that the city is planning to do is to pursue federal funding, specifically on the Bundy Canyon I-15 interchange, which could help us move that project forward into the next phase without having to rely on WRCOG for that. And whatever money we don't spend from WRCOG now, we can use in a future phase, either in design or in construction. So we don't lose that money, it just gets used in the future at another phase. But as things stand right now, we may need to pause the two interchange projects and pause taking them to the next step while we get through some of these other priority projects, spend our TUMF, clear some of that backlog, and then open up additional TUMF moving forward. Another recommendation that staff has would be if the council desires to direct staff to submit a written request to RCTC. So RCTC is our big funding partner on the two Bundy projects and the Clinton Keith project. And so to direct staff to submit a written request to RCTC for a few things. One would be to request an extension on our grants, because RCTC's grants also have deadlines. And so we would ask them for an extension for those projects that aren't moving forward to construction just yet. But also to ask for additional funds. There may be an opportunity with RCTC. They have different funding opportunities and different budgets. And so one request that the city can make is just to ask RCTC if there are any additional funds that we can use perhaps to apply towards Clinton Keith that would make us less reliant on TUMF and be able to move that forward. And then the third would just be to request of them any additional alternative options they may have within the grant program itself, whether that's moving some funds between grants, allowing a pause on one grant, and just to see if what options they might entertain to allow the city to continue moving all three of these projects forward as quickly as possible. And so, again, the recommendations would be, one, to prioritize Bundy for construction, and then kind of follow this priority list for our TUMF funding, but then two, also submit a request to RCTC on the grants and the funding. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions up here on the dais? Councilmember Moore?
So I agree. Bundy Canyon Segment 2 is definitely what we need to focus on. So I know this is not part of it, but can I ask about, has Caltrans on just the southbound right turn only lane, have they come through with any on that? Not the interchange, just the southbound right turn.
On Wildomar Trail?
On Wildomar Trail, sorry.
Yeah, and I apologize. I meant to mention that and I forgot. So we resubmitted updated plans to Caltrans last week. We're expecting comments or responses from them hopefully by the end of next week, if not sooner. And we did kind of submit a preliminary before we made our formal submittal. We submitted a preliminary request for a cursory review to see if they might support what we were proposing, and so it seemed positive. And so we are still pushing that forward, and that we will continue to push that forward separate from the full interchange improvement.
Okay.
So I still don't have a response from Caltrans, so I don't want to commit to something and then have them come back and say no. But we're expecting a response pretty soon here from them.
Okay, so that's a southbound, right turn only lane, Wildomar Trail. We're waiting on Caltrans to get back on that.
Yeah.
That's aside from the interchange part. So is Caltrans or the state of California not putting towards anything towards the interchange projects?
Yeah, the interchange projects, they do not fund. So it's our response. The cost of improving these interchanges falls on the city. Now, if Caltrans were to come forward ahead of us and say, okay, we have a problem, and they want to address it, obviously they can. From they are less focused on the local road, and they're more focused on their main line. And so until there are significant issues on their main line, it's likely going to continue to be a priority for the city over Caltrans.
Okay, so Caltrans has no, in the foreseeable future, plans to widen Wildomar Trail, just like they did Clinton Keith.
Correct. So Clinton Keith would have been an interchange improvement project, much like these two, that I think the county took the lead on.
Okay.
So same thing. It would have probably, I wasn't involved, but likely was county funded or city funded at the early years of incorporation. We did receive a notice that Caltrans is doing some I-15 improvement projects, and so we will still push to see whatever improvements they can support, whether that's interim traffic signals at the ramps. But it just may not be likely because they're on the local roads. But we will still try to pursue that as best we can.
Okay, and so the Bundy Canyon widening from the 15 west to Mission Trail, that was, I think, can we go back to that slide?
I think it was number 6.
Of 6?
4.
5. Okay.
4.
Okay, Bundy Canyon Road west of the I-15. Yes. So you're saying put that down to number 4, but it's totally separate. We already went out to bid on the repaving.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so currently out to bid is a repaving project for all of Bundy Canyon from
Mission Trail
to the eastern city limits at Sunset. So that's still moving forward. This is the widening, and from a capacity perspective, the widening may not be as critical right now.
Right.
And so, we will be focusing on the pavement condition with this rehab.
And okay, so I'm fine with that. But in that widening, how will the intersection look at Almond? I think it's Almond or?
At the high school?
Yeah.
Yes.
At the high school.
So we do have planned in our development impact fee program and in our general plan, a traffic signal at Almond and Bundy Canyon and a traffic signal at Orchard and Bundy Canyon. That's a lot. Yeah, we've not been able to identify funding sources yet for those signals outside of local funding sources or TUMF. So the priority of the signals specifically, we could always be evaluated whether the signal project moves ahead of a widening project if that is a priority or a desire. But yeah, those are ultimately planned to be signalized intersections.
Yeah, Almond is definitely needed. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, but I totally agree. Bundy Canyon first. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Councilmember Morabito.
All right, you got a couple of notes. Let's start with that last one. I'm not sure what you mentioned signal, so was that, so I'm not sure.
At the Almond at the crosswalk.
Okay, so that, okay. But that reminded me that we, a couple of months ago, thought there was going to be one at Bundy Canyon, just a turn arrow, at Bundy Canyon and Orange.
Yes.
Is that somewhere in the pipeline?
Yeah, so that project is in the construction phase. The council awarded that construction contract a few months ago. So we've been working through the pre-submittal documents with the contractor, their material submittals. So we expect that project to be complete. I actually believe it's by September. So that project was one contract. It was the new traffic signal at Harvest Way and Bundy, and also the signal modification at Bundy and Orange, and also another signal modification at Grand and Corridon.
Okay, so then the one at Orange and Bundy is September.
September completion date, and that will include the left turn phase.
Okay. I mean, so I'm telling Jim, respect that light. Do not go through that intersection, just because they do not respect the light. Anyway, okay, so it's not tomorrow. All right, right. So then let's see. Where's these various questions? So I had prepped you with some questions earlier. So on Bundy Canyon, there's phase 3, and you already mentioned about funding and whatnot, and so as to what I'd given you some prep for was So what are we, how likely is Phase 3 to languish in unfinished state without additional funding sources?
So as I mentioned, we've been coordinating with the developer, trying to understand what their schedule is or what their plans are. There may be an opportunity to coordinate with them because the city also needs right-of-way from that developer, so there is some needed coordination. They have already done some utility coordination through that section, so we've been working through those discussions. But in the absence of anything, moving forward on that end or any construction funding, I guess I don't have a concrete date to give you.
Right. No,
yeah. However, in the meantime, I think one thing we are doing, because that date is unknown, is that rehab, and to ensure that at least the pavement condition through that section is maintained in a way so that if that project does take a little bit longer, that at least that road's been addressed from a pavement condition perspective. What I will say is having that $8 million that we received from RCTC makes it easier for us to go after other grants. So we have already applied for at least one other grant after we received the RCTC grant. Unfortunately, we weren't successful. But having those funds in hand make it easier for us to go after other funds. Whereas, if we were starting from scratch, obviously it's more challenging. And to demonstrate that there is some funding and some commitments makes it sometimes easier to go after other funds. So we will also continue to look for those opportunities. Ultimately, there is TUMF funding for Bundy Canyon. Again, it comes down to a matter of how much we can request at once. Now, there again may not be enough to cover both Segment 2 and Segment 3 through TUMF, but there may be some additional TUMF there because some of the TUMF costs did go up in the last year, and so there is some additional TUMF that may be available to us.
Sure. And just to reiterate, it's like, I think you do a great job. You're given, Denny's level, love you, Denny's level ingredients, and you got to produce for Ruth's Chris, right? The residents here, the council here, we all want top notch, and we know that we have a meager budget. So it's when you have to give us the bad news, that's okay. We understand that. But so with that, if Phase 3 is further out, then obviously that's the surface of the road we'd want maintained, because my next question is about Scott Road, like where Menifee is at that with that, and do they have plans to let it just crumble before they fix it? Because we certainly don't want Bundy Canyon to ever come like Scott Road portion, because that's such a main thoroughfare. I mean, there's other places in the city that have the poor road, but they're not going 50, 60 miles an hour. So there it's much more important. Anyway, what's our plan for the road surface in the meantime?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, our current rehab project will take us to Sunset to the limits with Menifee.
Oh, I just heard I registered as to the freeway. For Mission Trail. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll go Mission Trail to the freeway and then freeway to Menifee.
Oh, okay. So, well, sorry, I missed that. No, very important part.
No, that's okay. But with that, I did want to add, City of Menifee did reach out to us when they saw that our project was out to bid, to see if to give consideration to their portion. So we'll continue those discussions with them. Ultimately, if there's any kind of collaboration between the two cities, each city obviously will be responsible for their own costs. But the city of Menifee is looking at their portion. Obviously, we can't speak to their schedule but we will continue to coordinate with them if there's an opportunity there where maybe that section can be improved together and they pay their portion. We'll explore that.
Okay, a couple more comments. So you mentioned the interchanges. You said pause, and before I wrote down pause, I'd already written back burner, because if they were really something, because there are several places in Riverside County that they need it right now. Okay, but as much as it would be great to have them modernized, it definitely is way down on the list. So we're pausing it. I think that's a great idea. And then you mentioned Clinton Keith, that at one point, well, it's because we're going to aim for the 6 lanes all the way to the city line, which is also really the way to go, because even if it's more money now, first it'll be less money later. And anyway, I know that with the extension of the carpool lanes, or the, not carpool, but I guess what's the
auxiliary lanes, or the fast
the fast track lanes,
yeah.
whatever, the toll lanes, that to do one lane in each direction, you might, I mean, it's not half the cost of 2 lanes in each direction. It's like 80% of the cost of 2 lanes. You might as well do the 2 lanes versus 1 lane at a time. So the same principle here. So I'm glad that we're aiming that direction. And then, so the last one was, Councilmember Moore had already mentioned the Wildomar Trail thing, and I'm glad that we're getting there. It sounds like it's close. Walmart sounds like it's close. We're not sure about either one, but hopefully that, because that one's a really important one for the people heading towards the freeway. Anytime, well, especially in the morning rush hour, but there's times at other times where it starts to back up. So I appreciate all the work that you do.
Thank you.
I have nothing. I'm just joking. Actually, I have very little to say. I agree with the priority list. I think that's smart and practical of us. I think it's very pragmatic. Also, I'm all in favor for staff to write a letter to our RCTC, to the governor, whoever we need to, and get more money, or move it around, whatever we have to do. I think problem solving in whatever way we can do it to get these done is the best thing we can do. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for the presentation. Very thorough. Thanks for the good questions, too, from my colleagues.
Thank you.
Yeah. City Clerk, was there public comment on this?
No public comment.
All right. Cool. I just have a couple comments to make. One, I want to thank Councilmember Moore for asking and receiving the clarity on the difference between the current rehab project and item number 4 on here. Or the recommendation number 4 here, being different from that. So to our residents, I want to say, yes, we've heard you. We want to deliver and repave these roads in the meantime. Also, I'm hopeful that we'll get some temporary relief. I think you mentioned, we're going to Caltrans, asking them to expedite the review for Wildomar Trail. I understand that the interchange improvement is lower on the list, but hopefully we can come to receive some temporary relief for our residents, whether it's a temporary light or not. All right, yeah, so with that being said, I think on this...
Make a motion. Do you want a motion?
I don't think we have to vote on this one. I think it was just receive and provide feedback.
Direction?
Is that
Okay.
correct?
We've got direction.
My understanding is it would be helpful for RCTC if we did have a vote from the council directing
Write a
staff
letter.
to request the additional funding.
Okay. I'll make a motion to direct staff to request additional funding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
All right. Now we
That
got
brings
Jason
us-
again, huh?
That brings us to item 3.5, various consulting agreement amendments for engineering and design services for Bundy Canyon Road Improvement Project, Segment 2, presented by Public Works Director Jason Farag.
And I'm going to invite Carlos Geronimo, Principal Engineer, up to present this. And you'll see some of the costs that we talked about in the prior presentation in this agenda item as well.
Engineer, was also assigned as the project manager for the Bundy Canyon Road project. And as you heard from Jason, this project is very complex, very large, and entails a lot of coordination with outside agencies and also different stakeholders. So in 2023, we started acquiring consulting services from various consulting firms. Interwest Consulting Group, Parsons Transportation, and also TKE Engineering. Interwest was tasked to do right-of-way acquisition, TKE Engineering for project coordination, utility relocation, and Parsons was our design firm and tasked also with environmental compliance and permitting of the project. So. And also just to point out, so I was rereading the staff report, there was a small error on action item number 1. where Parsons Transportation Group amendment for $875,000. It should be $808,142.45. In the body of the discussion is correct. It's just this number in the action item should be changed. In order to continue the project, as Jason mentioned, we have a lot more extensive work in right-of-way acquisition. Some of those temporary construction easements that were acquired a couple of years ago through Interwest are going to expire over the next year, so there's a need to extend those temporary construction easements. So when we go into construction, we don't have any issues going into private properties to do our work. So it's an important task that we need to complete. Also with TKE, they're responsible for utility relocations, and the gas company is actually going to start construction in the next couple of months. And there's also ongoing coordination with other utility providers. This project just about touches every utility and communications that you can think of. So there's a lot of coordination here. And also Parsons. As Jason mentioned, this project has a lot of environmental requirements and conditions set on this project. We have permits from the Army Corps of Engineers, from the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and also from the California Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Riverside Riverside Conservation Agency. So each one of these agencies has specific requirements for compliance on this project. Some of those requirements happen prior to construction. It could be months before the actual construction, during construction, and also post-construction, up to 5 years of monitoring and making sure that the project has no major impacts on the environment around the project. The big amendment here is for Parsons Transportation Group is for $180,000. We are requesting or recommending council to authorize these amendments. These amendments are over a period of years. It's not like we're going to spend all this money next year, but it will be over several years, as I indicated. And these amendments are covered in the current budget, so we're not requesting for additional funding at this time.
Do we have any questions up here?
Can you say the amount again? 808,000?
$808,142.45.
Okay.
Right. That's crazy.
Councilmember Morabito? No questions?
No, I'm good.
City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
All right, do we have a motion to adopt the recommended actions as presented?
I'll make a motion to adopt the actions as presented with the dollar amount being $808,142.45.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, that brings us up to item 3.7, resolution authorizing issuance of special tax bonds, Series 2026 for Community Facilities District number 2023-1, Avelino, presented by our Finance Manager, Adam Jantz.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, fellow city staff, and members of the public. My name is Adam Jantz, and I'm the Finance Manager here at the city, and I'm here with you tonight to present a resolution of issuance for Community Facilities District 2023-1 for Avelino. So some brief background on the project. So this CFD was initially formed in 2023 on August 9th. The resolution was to incur a bonded indebtedness not to exceed $12 million. And the purpose of them was to finance city facilities, storm drain cost, EVM water district facility and sewer improvements, and to cover the cost of issuance of the bonds, which also had about $300,000 in city fee premiums that can also be used for any capital project. The homes prices in the development Avelino are between $700,000 and $800,000 approximately, and the developer requesting the bond sale is D.R. Horton, with about 117 parcels, with over 67% of them as of around the beginning of December already conveyed to the final owners. We began levying in 24-25 when they began pulling occupancy permits. So the proposed transaction here on this item is to authorize the city to issue special tax bonds secured by the special tax revenue levied in the Community Facilities District in Avellino. The principal is projected to be about $10.7 million with a 30-year maturity on the bonds, and appraised value of the property is about $70.4 million as of November. The interest rate on the bonds is about 5.05%. The total bond proceeds is about $9.5 million after the finance charge deducted. The total payments over the life of the bonds will be about $22 million. Now, it's important to note that these are not obligations of the city itself. They are not. The general fund will never incur any of the cost of this. The bonds are all repaid by the community facilities special tax levy that are put on the properties in the district. So there's no fiscal impact to the general fund or any of the city's long-term projections. So of the approximately 1.4 million of the total bond proceeds that will be received by the trustee, where the city gets 1.4 million of the bond proceeds to fund DIF-eligible city projects, an additional premium of $294,000 that can be used for any city capital project, as well as the storm drain improvements that were constructed by the developer, and about $30,000 per year for administration with that will go into the general fund with a 2% annual CPI increase. So this CFD funding program, it does help promote new development and spur economic activity by allowing developers to retrieve some of their capital back at the end of the development. And so with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm open to any questions from the council or the public.
Do we have any questions up here on the dais?
I did have one. It says 67% to individual owners. I'm just curious, what's the other 33%?
So those ones are, they're probably finalizing construction on the last few homes to get occupancy and then be sold to the final owner.
Oh, I see.
So 67% they've been constructed, got occupancy, and sold to the final property.
Then just for fun, so repeat what was said earlier. Who will be repaying these bonds? The homeowners.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, just
residents of the.
Because anytime anybody hears bonds and for a city, it's like, oh my gosh, So I just want to reiterate that it's not the city, it's not the residents.
It's not a general purpose.
Right.
It's the residents that are in the district of the.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. We just wanted to get that repeated. Thank you.
I have nothing. Thank you. I appreciate the presentation.
City Clerk, do we have any comments? Public comments?
No public comments.
All right. Well, do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-1 and the recommended action items?
You have a resolution, or you have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-01 and its authorized recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
All right. Well, that would bring us to public hearings. So now, I now open the public hearing at, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, you're going to stay up here for the start. Okay. I now open the public hearing at 8:34 p.m. regarding the proposed formation of Community Facilities District number 2025-1, Camellia, the levy of special taxes, and the incurring of bonded indebtedness for the district. Presentation by Adam Jantz.
Good evening. My name is Adam Jantz, of course, and I'm here to present to you the public hearing for the establishment of CFD 2025-1 Camellia Facilities District. So this item is basically the precursor to what the previous item, which was the issuance. This is kind of the first step. So at this point, this is going to be for the establishment of a new district that will eventually issue bonds. So some background on this particular CFD. It's for a project by KB Home on approximately 22 acres that has 163 single-family residential dwelling units. It's in the southeast portion of the city by Washington Ave and Jefferson. On October 3rd, 2025, the council adopted Resolution 2025-56 and 57, declaring the intent to incur bond indebtedness and calling for the formal public hearing to be had on December 10th. With the changing of the date of that council meeting, we moved the public hearing up to January 14th tonight. And the purpose of this hearing is to receive input on the formation of the CFD 2025-1, for the council to consider formation of the CFD and authorize the special taxes, and consider the necessity to incur debt and conduct a landowner election, and consider the introduction of ordinances to levy special taxes following the passage of the successful election. So a brief overview of the project. So this map shows the project boundaries. It's fairly close to Avellino in the southwest portion of the city. The boundary map was recorded in October, with the notices were mailed out and published consistent with the Mellerusse Act. So the purpose of the 2025-1 Camellia CFD is to finance the construction of public improvements and reimburse the eligible developer cost. It's created under the Mellerusse Community Facilities Act of 1982 and established an estimated bond capacity is about $7.4 million to be secured by special taxes. It'll finance facilities such as about $2.5 million for storm drain, $2.6 million street improvements, $1.23 for water fees, and about another $1 million for incidentals. The rates on the levies will be approximately $2,400 to $2,800 per unit, and when constructing these rates, doing what they call the RMA, the rate method of appropriation, in accordance with city policies, we look at all of the assessments that are already on the property, including the next item, to maintain an effective tax rate of no more than 2%. So the actions required tonight are the adoption of a resolution of formation, adoption of a resolution determining necessity to incur bonded indebtedness, and to call and conduct a landowner election, and then adopt a resolution certifying the results, and to introduce an ordinance authorizing levy of special taxes, which will come forth at the next meeting for a second reading. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? No. Are there any individuals wishing to speak on this item?
No public comments.
All right, City Clerk, have any written protests been received from the landowners within the district?
None have been received.
Are there any persons registered to vote in the territory of the district?
Yes.
Are the owners of all taxable property in the proposed district consented to holding the special election on this date immediately following the public hearing?
Yes.
Do you concur that the special election may be held on this date immediately following the public hearing?
Yes.
I now close the public hearing at 8:38 p.m. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-2?
Motion to adopt 2026-02.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
Motion carries 4-0.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-3?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
Motion carries 4-0.
City Clerk, did you receive the official ballots and waivers from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property proposed to be included within the district?
Yes. And the return ballots and the results are yes.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-4?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We need a second.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, jumped the gun. All those opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, do I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 260, levying special taxes for the district for first reading by title only and schedule for second reading and adoption at the next council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, that brings us to our next public hearing. So I now open the public hearing at 8:39 p.m. regarding the proposed formation of Community Facilities District number 2025-S for services and the levy of special taxes for the district. Presentation by Finance Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a public hearing for the establishment of a new community facilities district for services, 2025-S. So this is the initial formation is at this point is has one developer, one zone in it, which shares the same boundaries as the previous one. So it's for development on approximately 22 acres by KB Home with 163 single-family residential dwelling units in the southeast corner of the city. So similar to the previous item, on October 13th, the City Council adopted a resolution declaring an intent to establish a CFD and calling for a public hearing in December. And on the December 3rd meeting, it was moved to the 14th meeting due to the change. So the purpose of this meeting is to receive public input on CFD 2025-S and consider the formation of the CFD and authorization of the special taxes, conduct the landowner election, and consider the introduction of the ordinances levying special taxes following the successful election. The project boundaries are outlined in this are in lower southeast portion of the city near the border. The boundary map was recorded in October 2025, and notices were mailed out consistent with the Act. So the purpose of the 25-S services is to provide funding for essential public services in both maintenance and public safety. So it differs from the 25-1, and then that one was funding facilities. This is a zone to fund actual services. So this establishes the initial tax zone, which is the original, which is currently Camellia, but there is potential for annexation for future developments that will annex into it. So and there are several components to the special taxes. Special tax A services funds landscaping, street lighting, road maintenance, drainage, parks, graffiti abatement, reserves, and administration. And is approximately $520 per residential unit, with which escalates over time by a greater of CPI or 2%, not to exceed 6%. At build out, the first year of levy will be about just under $85,000. The other component is special tax B, which is for public safety services, which include police and fire. The rate is $668 per single-family residential and $410 per multifamily, with an escalation of CPI or greater of CPI or 5%, not to exceed 6%, with a final levy at first year levy at build out of $180,884. This rate, when this rate was calculated, it did take into account the higher public safety rates from the revised public safety contracts. So it does is inclusive, taking that into account when these rates were established. There's also a special tax C, which funds drainage, reserves, and administration, but this is a contingent tax that will only be levied if the POA were to fail to perform certain maintenance needs. And to my knowledge, I don't believe we've utilized any of these previously, so that one will only be assessed under certain situations, and is about $88 per single-family residential unit with an escalator. So the actions required tonight are to adopt the resolution of formation, call and conduct the landowner election, and adopt a resolution certifying the election results, and introduce an ordinance authorizing the levy of special taxes. And with that concludes my presentation, and I'm open to questions.
Any questions up here?
Nothing.
Yeah, there was a couple that I couldn't tell if they were, one was $520, one said $688, one said $410. So are those, $688 was for a single family, right? And then $410 was for multifamily?
Yeah, the 688 is a special tax B component for public safety, so the 668 is for single-family residential.
And then, so what was the 520? Is that?
The 520 is for the special tax A.
So then they're all going to pay 520 plus either 688 or 410?
If they were, the 410 would only be if they were multifamily.
Well, but I mean, so they get two of those. They get 520 plus one of the two, whichever.
Yes, as single-family residents, we get we get the 520 plus the 668.
And then it's 2% minimum increase per year. It says not to exceed 6%. Now, in the past, I somehow remember that it was 5%. Is that a bad memory, or did we change it to 6%?
To 6%?
Not to
recall if
exceed
the max was 6%. Typically, we've done 2% as what we've
As
been
the-
using for our regular ones.
Right, as the minimum, but it's like, then there's the maximum. But I seem to have a memory, like from 10 years ago, I'd been in the audience, and I just remember thinking, wow, every year it could go up 5% maximum. And I remember my comment at the time was, isn't it great to own a house that's pre all this? So
Belarus, yeah.
the houses in Windsong are worth a lot more, even if they're a little careworn. So I sure hope that people can afford to buy that. I mean, I'm all for this, but it's like, ouch.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I agree. Belarus sucks, but here we are, California. I have no questions, Mayor.
All right. Are there any individuals wishing to speak on this item?
No public comments.
All right. Have any written protests been received from the landowners within the district?
No protests have been received.
Are there any persons registered to vote in the territory of the district?
Yes.
Are the owners of all taxable property in the proposed district consented to holding the special election on this date immediately following the public hearing?
Yes.
Do you concur that the special election may be held on this date immediately following the public hearing?
Yes.
I now close the public hearing at 8:46 p.m. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-5?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
City Clerk, did you receive the official ballots and waivers from the landowners who can cast their votes on behalf of the owners of all the property proposed to be included within the district?
Yes, and the returned ballots reflect a yes vote.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-6?
You do. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 261, levying special taxes for the district for the first reading by title only and schedule for the second reading and adoption of at the next council meeting?
Make a motion for ordinance number 261 approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
My goodness, we're getting to the end.
All right. Well, that brings us to council communications. Councilmember Moore?
Yes, I just have one slide tonight. This is a Cops for Kids. So I know our Lieutenant Reese is here. We also had Captain Boyd, Lieutenant Clark. So we did deliver toys to about 1,100 children between Lake Elsinore and Wildomar on Saturday, December 20th. So I just want to thank all the volunteers and all the donations, that came in to make it possible. So there's no other pictures. And I did want to read, so Wildomar Beautification Volunteers had a very successful 2025, so I just want to read some of our totals. In 2025, we had 521 volunteers. That was just amazing. And we had 3,908 hours last year and 1,873 bags filled with litter, weeds, everything. And we did 366 graffiti removals. And that's just us. That doesn't include Public Works or code enforcement or any other organization. So we had a great year. And then I do want to remind everyone, so the Inland Valley Medical Center is opening on February 18th. They're going to have several different celebrations. So they're going to have like a staff celebration and government agencies can come and visit, but they're also going to have just a regular, the community come on and visit them. So they're going to put all that information out. But the grand opening is February 18th. And they are hoping, because I did a taping there yesterday, so they are hoping that staff, council members, that we're all there. This is a really, really big deal and blessing for Wildomar and all our communities.
That's my birthday. I think they're actually having it for my birthday.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
perfect.
So
Perfect.
It's actually a birthday party.
You figured out the surprise.
Perfect.
So you guys should all be there.
Okay, thank you. That's
All
it.
right. Actually, I do have a quick question, Councilmember Moore. I didn't hear the statistic we usually have, but it's like my favorite one. But do you have, and it's okay if you don't have it top of mind, but just the value add? I think usually when you share the yearly report from WBB, you share with us, the contribution in the sense of staff hours, staff members. Do you have that readily available?
I don't have the exact number. It is over $600,000 though. So independent sector is the agency that puts out the value of a volunteer hour. It is different for every state and it is different every year. When I went back, we didn't keep track in 2020, but going back to 21 through now 25, it's over $600,000 of value that we go into our community.
Wow. And just out of curiosity, is that an increase from the previous year?
Our totals from 25 to 24 actually were we had more volunteers. It's about the same hours, about the same bags.
Wow.
So it's about the same.
Well, I mean, that's just a testament to the great people that call this community home. Thank you so much. I don't see any of you in the audience today, but to WBB, thank you so much for caring enough about our city to contribute your time when you don't have to.
No kidding. I remember when you started this. Saturday mornings at like 7, and I was like, that's too early. But she was doing it Saturdays, all of a sudden it just morphed into like, oh, we're doing Sundays too, and then every dang day. So, yeah, good job, Bridget.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Morabito.
And just to carry on that, so how many hours total for this year?
For 2025, it's 3,908.
So 3,900. So just under 4,000. And isn't like a full-time employee around 2,000?
2080 hours a year.
So it's almost 2 full-time employees.
Right. Last year was
where you slot that.
Last year was 4,000, so we were just under.
Amazing. All right. So the meetings really, the various boards and commissions haven't really started up. RCA did meet. There's something that was interesting, but it's closed session. So once it's out of closed session, then I'll bring it back here. Yay. And then I'd like to add, though, that at our last meeting, things went sideways a bit. And I wish Ashley was here. Though she and I did shake hands afterwards, that was probably off camera. And so for anybody that may have watched that online, been in the audience, staff, my colleagues, I'd like to apologize for that. So that's my report.
Thanks, Joseph. That's cool, man. Thank you. Hey, seriously, that's nice.
Cool.
I've hit the ground running so far this year. Chamber breakfast, super early. Coffee with the city, again, super early. I'm joking. The kids had to go to school anyway.
Do we have any more 8:30, 8 o'clock meetings that we can sign them up for?
Like, man, they're getting me. They're taxing me. No, but it's been fun so far. And I'm working with the new mayor here. He's doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to working with him the rest of the year.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just for me, unfortunately I was unable to attend the Chamber Networking Breakfast last week, but I am committed to attend the remainder of them for this year. So I'm looking forward to that. As Mayor Pro Tem Nig mentioned, we did have our first Coffee with the City yesterday. Thank you again to the Chamber for putting that together. As a reminder, those are the second Tuesdays of the month. Next week,
yeah, we're in Sacramento, man. Yeah.
3 of us will be in Sacramento, so looking forward to that, and meeting with some of our local representatives. So with that being said, City Manager, do we have a report?
Nothing further from me this evening.
Are there any future agenda items?
I got one. So maybe it's a future discussion item or not, based on some feedback I've seen online. That I'd like to consider like a discussion of whether we might want to waive next year's business registration fee for the businesses that are in good standing in the area of the Palomar work zone. So I know it's a very small amount of money to them, but as a gesture, because there's been some impacts to their businesses, so maybe we can put that as a future discussion item.
Or the committee can discuss
it. I'll add that to the sub bullet. Tasking. No, that's a good idea.
Okay.
So, man, I'm gonna go. Right on it.
There we go. All right. Any future agenda items for me, sir?
I'm good, Mayor.
All right. Well, with that, I'd like to. I will now adjourn the City Council Cemetery District meeting at 8:53. In memory of Wildomar residents Stan Crippen and Peter DeJong, and in remembrance of Deputy Darnell Calhoun. Thank you.